afternoon, everybody. Welcome to beautiful downtown Madison, Wisconsin. I'm Bill Edwards along with Delano Little, and we're going to bring you the game today between Georgia Southern and Appalachian State. This is not the day we expected.
Bill, I'm sorry, we're in North Carolina.
We are?
Yes, we are.
This can't possibly be North Carolina, Delano. It's snowing. There's snow on the ground. It is cold.
Yes, it is, and I can see my breath when I breathe. I don't like that. I don't like that.
Well, they were expecting it to be sunny skies and the temperature about 40 degrees by game time. I can assure you the skies are not sunny, and I can sure as heck tell you it ain't 40 degrees.
Well, Bill, it's going to be a very interesting game. The weather is not conducive to playing for Georgia Southern. They have a history of playing bad when it's been precipitating like this, and I'm not sure if Georgia Southern's going to be able to come out of here alive, but let's hope so.
Well, to tell you the truth, Appalachian State is not used to playing in this mess either. This is the first time it's ever snowed here for a football game. They're usually not playing this time of the year. Of course, we got 150,000 Appalachian State band members out here who are trying to give us a real hard time, so we'll be fighting them for the next few minutes. But I tell you what, we're talking with some of the coaches about today's game. First of all, our super scout, Pat Spurgeon, who probably knows more about Appalachian State than anybody except maybe the folks who work here and the coaches at Appy State. He scouted the game last week. We talked with him earlier in the week, and I asked him, first of all, what impressed Coach Pat Spurgeon about Appalachian State, and here's what he had to say.
What impresses you about them the most, Pat? What do you like?
Well, special teams. I have never seen special teams, high school, college, or professional ball, to equal those of Appalachian. Offensively, for example, they're very conservative. I'm convinced that their coaches feel that if their offense does not make mistakes, and will make a first down or two here or there, and keep field position, that their defensive special teams will win the games for them, and the statistics bear that out. Appalachian is not a statistically impressive offensive team. In fact, defensively, insofar as statistics are concerned, they're not that impressive. But in points given up, they are highly impressive. Any team that can hold its opposition to 10 points in one AA football plays great defense, and they do that. In addition, Appalachian's outscoring its opponents, I believe, 83 or 85 to 16 in the first quarter. And once they get ahead, they feel the game's over. They feel that simply their defense is going to shut down the other offense.
What is Southern going to have to do to win that ball game Saturday?
Well, first, we must not make turnovers. We must not make mistakes in special teams play. If we can avoid that, and of course we're working diligently to avoid it, and I hope it works out that way, I think we can stay on the field with them. I understand that we're an 11-point underdog, and I appreciate that, and I agree with that. I think Appalachian deserves to be that much of a favorite against us. But I think we are going to show up Saturday.
What has last week's victory, and especially the come-from-behind fashion that they did, and to shut out a team like Maine, done for the morale of this squad?
Well, I'm not sure what it may have done for the morale of the squad, but I do believe that it convinced our team that we must go out and play hard for 60 minutes if we're to beat anyone. I think we all realize just how fortunate we are to be playing again this week. And this is with all great applause to our comeback. We can't do that against Appalachian. If we don't go out from the first play of the game and play as hard as we can for 60 minutes, we will not win. We will not have a chance to win because they're too strong for that. If we will do that, if we will play, as I sometimes say, out of our minds and over our heads, then we will have a chance to stay on the field with Appalachian.
So you feel, but you definitely feel good about Georgia Southern's chances anyway.
Well, I think Appalachian is the favorite, but I believe we belong on the same field with them. I think we're deserving of being in the playoffs.
You had to feel good last week about the way Tim Foley came back and got a chance to redeem himself. A lot of kids would have folded under that kind of pressure.
That's true, but a little adversity simply makes Tim better. He realizes what he did, and he expressed it very well himself. He simply tried to guide the first kick through, and he knows that he simply must go out and kick it and take whatever occurs. When he does that, he never misses. The only time he misses is when he tries to guide it through. And again, I hope he learned his lesson, and I think he did, just as I hope our team learned its lesson from the main game. The main game could turn out to be a very positive factor for us in the fact that we did manage to make that almost incredible comeback. And I wish you could imagine what it was like. I was at Appalachian last week, and they came on and announced the score, and Appalachian's been looking forward to playing us for 2 years, by the way, Bill. They were looking forward to playing us last year. In fact, by some strange logic, they blame us for their loss last year. But they were looking forward so much to playing us that they let Nichols slip up on them. But now they really have the opportunity that they have been looking forward to for 2 years to play Georgia Southern. We feel honored that they would consider us on their level. And we feel honored to be playing at Appalachian.
Coach Pat Spurgeon, the field is a disgrace. Irk Russell is extremely upset, and we'll be back to talk about that and more on our pregame show before the Appalachian State game after this.
Since today's automobiles are so expensive, they need special care. Dan Vaden Chevrolet reminds you that...
Well, back in Boone, North Carolina, Delano, we said that Appalachian State's never played in this mess, but boy, they still have to have an advantage over Georgia Southern.
Well, Bill, a few hours before the game, it's getting close to the game time now, the field was terrible. Now the field is just bad. There's some icy patches out in the field, and it actually is conducive to having a lot of injuries today. Hopefully I'll be wrong on that prediction, but it looks like there may be a lot of injuries, a lot of turnovers. Look for a defensive game and maybe a last-second field goal to win it.
The field is actually worse on this side, on the press box side of the field, which is the home side of the field. If you're going driving, I believe the field runs north-south, so if you're driving south, you'd want to go option left. If you're driving north, you want to go option right more than anything else.
Well, you probably want to option it right on back to Statesboro with the way the weather is. But these fans are really fired up. I didn't look for there to be a good turnout today, but Appalachian State fans are out, and Georgia Southern brought a following of their own.
They got about 5 buses that left Statesboro about 5 o'clock this morning, I understand. So we've got a nice contingent here for Georgia Southern. And believe me, the players know that, and they appreciate it when people care and are here cheering for them.
Well, Bill, yes, it will. But like you said, again, the field conditions are bad. Georgia Southern may be in trouble, and then again, they may not be. But both teams have to play on this field. And Coach Russell, I spoke with him last night at dinner. He was a little upset that the NCAA had decided to go with the game here in North Carolina instead of Georgia Southern. They say that they like to have the game in a place where the best weather conditions are, but they went against that with this decision.
They said the logic they used was this is the higher-seeded team in the tournament, so therefore they will play it here. I understand we even outbid Appalachian State for the game.
Well, I think NCAA was thinking that Appalachian State was ranked number 2, Holy Cross is ranked number 1, but they can't participate in the playoffs. So actually Appalachian State was the top-seeded team. So I guess they thought they just had to let Appalachian State play at home because they were number 1 in the nation.
Okay, well, that's the way you have it. Now, as you know, this program has become legendary. We were talking even with Coach Sparky Woods before the game about how much he appreciated what Georgia Southern has done and how they built this program. We're getting so much national attention. There was a Sports Illustrated article about Coach Irk Russell just before the season started. Also, last week on the ABC Sunday Night News with Sam Donaldson, Ray Gandolf did a special feature on Irk Russell as well. And we know a lot of you missed that. We ran it earlier in the week, but we got special permission from ABC to run it again. So here is Ray Gandolf's feature on Coach Irk Russell.
Good job of reading and moving quick. Put it right there. All right, down. Ready? Hike! Separate!
Watching Irk Russell coach football is like watching Picasso paint.
Hike!
Russell plies his trade at Georgia Southern College, deep in the piney woods of Statesboro, hard by beautiful Eagle Creek, which was just a drainage ditch until Irk got there.
I started calling it Beautiful Eagle Creek because sometimes when it rains real hard and the water gets up and covers up all those objects that you see in there, it really is right pretty. Tight end over to the right side this time. Let's run left tail. 58.
After 17 years as an assistant coach at the University of Georgia, where he sired the famous junkyard dog defense, Russell came to Georgia Southern in 1981. He was 55, he had never been a head coach before, and Georgia Southern had not had a football program for 40 years.
No equipment, no players. Georgia Southern didn't even have a football at that time.
For 3 years, football was an unclassified sport at Georgia Southern. In 1984, the Eagles joined Division I AA. In 1985, they beat Furman for the national championship.
One more time for the greatest team in America!
Last year, the Eagles did it one more time. Beat Arkansas State for their second straight national championship.
If you do as well as you can do, then I think good things most of the time are going to happen for you. Being firm, being fair, and having fun would kind of sum up the way I'd like the things to be.
You want to please him. It makes you feel like you need to please him.
Awesome. That's about it. He's just an awesome person.
One morning at Snooky's restaurant, where Russell begins each day at sunup, one of his buddies said that using cocaine was like putting your hand in a rattlesnake's mouth. Irk saw a chance to make a point, so he gathered his team together and had a rattlesnake brought into the room.
They bring the snake in, and he's buzzing and rattling, and half of our players got up and headed for the exit.
I got out of the room. I'm afraid of snakes. So I left the room.
I asked them to promise me if they ever went into a room where that white stuff was, that they'd get out of it, just like they got out of the room when we brought the snake in.
We haven't played against
almost as dangerous as a rattlesnake was the gang of cranky Yankees from the University of Maine who invaded Statesboro yesterday in the first round of the 1AA playoffs. They led by 18 points at the half. But the Eagles, inspired by freshman quarterback Raymond Gross, tied the score in the fourth quarter. And they won the game on a field goal by Tim Foley in overtime.
This game's over. Georgia Southern wins 31-28. And the University of Maine.
Irk Russell still has to win 3 more games for that third straight national championship. But for the rest of this week, at least, that breakfast coffee down at Snooky's will taste like champagne.
The things you do for love, like the college students over there from Georgia Southern that were out here with no shirts on, with GSC printed on their chest, and it's got to be 12 degrees with a wind chill factor out here, Delano.
If they keep it up, they're going to catch pneumonia.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be back to talk more with also Coach Irk Russell and Coach Mike Healy and other things on our pregame show. Stick around. We'll be right back. The Georgia Southern players have just left the field. Delano, what's going through their minds right now?
Well, I think they've got the feeling that they're in a bad situation with the weather here, and I think they're getting ready to get down and seriously thinking about playing some good football.
How much does the weather, once you get the game started, how much does that play on your psyche, shall we say?
Well, as long as you're out in the field and moving around and running around and rolling and blocking, you're okay. You get on the sideline and you have to stay there for quite a while. That's when it starts to get cold. So I don't think they'll have that problem here.
So it looks like, of course, you know, the experts here can sit there and say, well, it looks like we're going to have a defensive struggle all afternoon, and turn out it could be the offensive show of the century. But I would say a defensive struggle is probably what we'll see more than anything else.
Well, that's right. This is going to change a lot of the coaches' theories on a lot of things. Passing, when they should run the ball, maybe on third down, or whether they should go for a pass. And it's also changing the minds of some of the equipment managers. I met up with Roger Inman, the equipment manager for Georgia Southern, last night at Kmart, and he was thinking about getting Tim Foley some electric socks to keep his feet warm, but he didn't get it.
Well, budget considerations, you understand. Nevertheless, we talked with Coach Irk Russell earlier in the week about what to expect from, after that last game from Maine, and what to expect this week, and here's what Irk had to say to us.
Irk, we've got another big challenge, and I believe you have been quoted in Associated Press as saying it was the physical mismatch of the century. These guys must be pretty big.
Well, they are big. They're especially big on their two fronts, their offensive and defensive line. And as you know, we've got a pretty small group of people both ways. So from that standpoint, it really is a physical mismatch.
Now, they've had teams that have been able to roll up some yardage on them, and we ought to be able to do that. I think Citadel had like over 300 yards against them, and it should, our offense should be able to move the ball a little bit.
Well, we certainly hope that we can, and we feel like we have an opportunity to move the ball. But, I'd a lot rather make 42 yards rushing and score 24 points than make 342 yards rushing and score one touchdown or none. And the strong point of Appalachian State's defense seems to be its ability to give up yards, but not give up points. And I think that's the name of the game defensively, and that's what wins for you.
Now, there has to be kind of a good feeling this week. You must have generated or have felt some kind of a feeling of the way they came back last week, and also a little bit of caution as well, saying that we can't go into this one as maybe as lethargic as we did against Maine.
We're very lucky to have gotten out of the Maine game alive and to be able to profit by the lesson that we should have learned. That is, you've got to be ready to play when the game starts. Most teams are not as fortunate as we are. They have to lose in order to make that point. But we came close enough to losing and struggled through and got a victory, and hopefully we can profit by that experience.
How do you think they feel this week? It looks like we got a few more people healthy. I noticed Darren Chandler was walking around here. It looks like he feels pretty good.
Well, that's a bright spot. Darren Chandler is back in service after, 5 or 6 weeks. The Western Carolinas, the game in which he got hurt. So he'll be back, and that makes me feel better. But on the other hand, Ronnie Warnock is hurting pretty good, or pretty bad, with a bad ankle, and hasn't been able to practice this week, and Dennis Franklin certainly isn't at full speed. So things could be better, but they could be worse.
So we're ready to go after them one more time?
Well, we've got an opportunity, and what a great opportunity this is. This is, I believe Dr. Spurgeon pointed out, this is the 5th time we've played a #1 team, a #1 ranked team in the last 2 or 3 years. I think maybe all of those on artificial surface, and we've been fortunate so far, so let's hope we can be lucky just one more time.
All right, Eric, get after him.
All right.
Our national anthem.
Well, we've managed to survive the snowball fight so far. I think our cameraman just took a shot, but nevertheless, the ASU band's just finished up with a little rendition of Frosty the Snowman, appropriately enough.
Yeah, I got another appropriate song. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen.
We'll be back to finish this thing up right after this. Well, we have managed to survive the snowball fight so far, Delano. Now, whether or not Georgia Southern's going to survive the afternoon remains to be seen.
Well, I don't know. These fans are pumped up. I'm not sure if snowballs are necessary at the camera crew and the reporters, but I don't know. I guess they're just fired up and they're trying to display how much fired up they are. I just got hit just then.
Yeah, for real. Well, Irk Russell has been furious about the field conditions and about what's going on out here. They had a blanket of snow on the field that they really should have left last night, but they decided to clear it off, and it froze things, and they've been out trying to clean this thing off ever since dawn this morning. So we'll just have to wait and see what effect it's going to have on the game, but it definitely will be a factor. And we're going to be having, we're going to be back with, we got a commercial break coming up. Is that the deal? Okay, the next tape we've got is an interview that we've done with Mike Healy, the defensive coach at Georgia Southern, as to what the defense has got to do in order to get ready for today's ball game. Of course, as we know, things might change. We expect weather to be a little different, but here's Coach Healy with his assessment of today's ball game.
Certainly is. I think every Saturday's been a real challenge. We've won an awful lot of real close ball games, and this will be a tough one. They're the #1 rated team. They've got a lot of size. They're well coached. Got a fantastic offensive football team as far as what it can do to us on the defensive side of the ball. They're so large, and we're a bunch of midgets. It makes it awful tough.
Now, last week we got behind the 8 ball in a hurry. What are we going to have to do to solve that problem this week? What sort of things are going to work on? And did the Maine game kind of help out from that standpoint?
Well, I don't know. I hope that's not what it takes to help out. Last week's game, we changed our philosophy at the halftime. We were attempting on defense to rush 4 people and double cover certain receivers and lock linebackers on backs. And when the quarterback would break containment, he'd run 20 yards before anybody'd get to him. You know what? At halftime, when you're 18 points down and things aren't working, you need to change either that or get beat. We felt like we needed to create turnovers for our offense. They had to get the ball in their hands. So we blitzed, and we played some zone and running situations that happened to work out real well. This should be an altogether different game this coming week. It's more of a, they have more of a running game, and I don't really expect them, if the weather's cold, to be throwing the ball too much.
In fact, from what I understand, they outscored their opponent something like 83-16 or something in the first quarter or the first half anyway.
It really is, and I'm not so sure it's just the offensive team. From what we've been able to see, you know, their special teams players have blocked 10 punts on the year. They blocked 5, I think, in the last 3 games. They get turnovers. They lead the nation in turnover margin. So what they're doing is their defensive team and specialty teams are getting the football and putting it down in the other team's home field, and you know, their offensive team comes in and takes over the ball inside the 50. They're going to score some points.
Okay, so we got to avoid that this week, because we ran into that trouble against Maine too.
That's right. We really feel on the defensive staff in there that since their defensive team and specialty teams are so good that we virtually have to shoot for a shutout in order for us to have a chance to win. Now, I don't know if we can do that or not, but we feel like that's really what it's going to take for us to win.
Okay, well, let's get after them.
We're going to give it the college effort, buddy.
Okay.
Defensive coordinator Mike Healy. Well, Delano, they're getting ready just about to start this thing. We just hope there won't be anybody hurt today.
Well, we hope so. I'm just glad we made it through the snowballs, and now you're headed back up to the booth. Lucky you, while I go on the cold sidelines over here.
Okay, well, good luck. We'll be back in just a few minutes with the kickoff of today's game, the quarterfinals of the NCAA Division I AA playoffs between Appalachian State University and the Georgia Southern Eagles. I'm Bill Edwards for Delano Little and all the crew involved here. We'll see you. Get ready for the kickoff. And good afternoon from Boone, North Carolina. We'll be back in just a few.
AA National Championship. This college football classic is brought to you statewide by Gulfstream Aerospace Corporation, the Atlanta Gaslight Company, by Coors, the original draft beer in a can, by the Citizens and Southern National Banks in Georgia, by Gilbert and Montlick, attorneys at law, by the Savannah and Augusta Coca-Cola bottling companies, and brought to you in part by Willingway Hospital of Statesboro, by Hardee's, we're out to win you over, and by your local Dodge dealers throughout Southeast Georgia.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Boone, North Carolina. It is cold, it is windy, and it is snowy here at William Conrad Stadium, where today the Eagles of Georgia Southern University will be taking on the Mountaineers of Appalachian State University in the quarterfinals of the NCAA Division I AA playoffs. I'm Rich Brenner, who, along with Bill Edwards and Delano Little, will be bringing you all of today's exciting play-by-play action, and it should be a very interesting ball game featuring 2 different type teams, but 2 teams which have gotten on the path of excellence and are showing everybody the type of good football they can play this year. There's Georgia Southern, the 2-time defending NCAA I AA champion, going after something which has never been done in I AA football, 3 consecutive national championships. They are going up against a team which is the top-seeded team in this year's NCAA I AA tournament. So it should be an interesting matchup. Appalachian State, a strong, big defensive team against the high-flying Eagles of Georgia Southern. We'll be back with the kickoff of today's game right after this brief timeout. As you can see the field here at William Conrad Stadium in Boone, North Carolina, it's an AstroTurf field, and it is loaded with ice. It snowed very heavily here the past 2 days. The field had a lot of ice on it. In fact, as of about an hour and 10 minutes ago, this field was unplayable, but through a lot of hard work and long work this morning, the grounds crew here at Appalachian State University was able to get this field in somewhat of a playing condition. But Bill Edwards, I think it'll be very interesting to see what will happen as this game progresses.
Rich, it's going to take away the option a lot. In fact, if they're going to run it, they're going to have to run it to the opposite side of the field from the press box, because this side looks almost completely frozen. You can see just how bad it is out there. All those little white patches you see there are ice. They could not get those up.
Well, Georgia Southern has won the toss, but has decided not to take the kickoff. They're going to defer their decision until the second half. That means Appalachian State now will receive the football and will defend the south goal. So we're moments away from kickoff here in the quarterfinals of the NCAA 1AA quarterfinal action. From William Conrad Stadium in Boone, North Carolina, Georgia Southern, the defending two-time national champions, against the top-seeded team in this year's tournament, the Mountaineers of Appalachian State University. A cold day here, 25 degrees, but we have winds of 13 miles an hour, and that translates into a chill factor of just 3 degrees. Actually, as you look down there on the field, it looks like we could be playing this game in Chicago or Cleveland or someplace like that, but we are in Boone, North Carolina, in the mountains. And yes, they did open the ski resorts around here yesterday.
I can see why. Rich, does this sort of remind you of that Dallas-Green Bay game that they keep flashing back to every once in a while, the championship game up there?
Fortunately, it's not as cold, but I can still remember Ray Scott and Frank Gifford doing the opening comments of that game, and they were just there freezing. Here's Tim Foley's kickoff. It's going to be a little short, and it's going to be fielded by number 48 of the Appalachian State Mountaineers, Mark Kirkpatrick. And he is just clobbered right there on the spot at about the 21-yard line. And that's where the Mountaineers will be putting the ball in play. They'll be lining up in an I formation. Quarterback is a freshman, Bobby Fuller. Won the starting job late in the season from senior Todd Payton. Payton, one of the co-captains of the Appalachian State Mountaineers. Doug Beatty will be your fullback. Richie Malcor will be the tailback. Now they split the backfield. Sidelines to the left, open field to the right. Malcor the handoff straight ahead, and he gets about 2 yards for a second. Up to about the 23-yard line. We'll bring up a 2nd and 8 situation just underway here at Conrad Stadium in Boone, North Carolina.
David Hodge made that stop. He submarined right in there, and he and Jeff Banks just wrapped him up just as he got across the line of scrimmage.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how the going is right here, because they are in the icy part of the field. The strong side of the field to the right has a little bit of better footing. Handoff straight ahead. That is the Malcor. He's got the first down across the 30 up to the 34-yard line. Brought down by Jeff Banks. First down of the ball game. 14 minutes and 19 seconds remaining in the first quarter. No score as we're just underway in this NCAA 1AA quarterfinal game. Appalachian State in the dark jerseys and the white jerseys. The two-time defending national champion Eagles of Georgia Southern University. Fuller back to pass. First pass of the ball game. Dumps it off to his fullback Beatty, and Beatty's got it at about the 37-yard line, and he's wrestled down hard by Oliver Davis. Ball will be placed at approximately the 37-yard line, making that a pickup of 4, 2nd down and 6.
Interesting story about Oliver Davis. Rich, he was not a starter until about the 3rd game of the year. They actually had to create a position for him. He was originally listed as a linebacker or as a defensive back, and they put him in at linebacker. He did so well, they put him back in the lineup.
Split backfield for Appalachian State. Ford throws it. He dumps it off to his tight end right there, Steve Wilkes. Wilkes with the reception, and he's across the 40 to about the 41-yard line. Will be shy of the first down as he picked up about, well, he didn't even make it to the about at the 40-yard line, so he picked up 3. So we've got a 3rd and long 3 situation coming up for the Mountaineers of Appalachian State. Their first 3rd down situation of the football game. Actually, where the ball is placed right now, at the right hash mark. Pretty good footing there. AstroTurf Stadium here at Conrad Stadium. Boys pass batted down there, and it looked like that ball might have been batted down by David Hodge. Hodge getting in there and batting the ball down, just snuffing it, so it brings up our first punting situation of the afternoon. Tony Cox will be doing the punting for the Mountaineers of Appalachian State. Well, they win it by with defense and coming up with a big play from the special teams. They're a big, strong football team, and I think if you really had to make an analogy, they're kind of like the Chicago Bears. What they do, they don't do very fancy, but I'll tell you, they just bowl over a lot of people. They don't have the big, fancy offense, but they do have the big, tough defense. And at this stage of the season, it's usually the defense which comes up with your big plays and wins your ball games for you. And that's the way it's been going for Appalachian State this year. They've had a lot of close ball games, as has Georgia Southern. And he's the type of player that could break the big play. Good speed, good hands. Tony Cox will be doing the kicking for Appalachian State, standing back at his own 25-yard line. There's a snap, good snap from center, the kick's away. High spiral. Bells are calling for the fair catch, fumbles the football at the 15 and dives on it, smothers it at the 10-yard line. And that's a tough part of the football field to be putting the ball in play, not only deep in your own territory, a 45-yard punt, and minus 5 yards on the return. Georgia Southern will be putting the ball in play from their own 10-yard line, and Bill Murray slicks part of the field.
That is a terrible spot. You rode down there earlier. You know just how tough that is. It's very hard down there on that footing.
Go, Gross is going to keep it on the option, and he's going to test that side, the left side of the Appalachian State defense. Gets about 2 yards, and he's just drilled out of bounds. Raymond Gross, that freshman sensation quarterback for Georgia Southern, stepped in as a starter in the 7th game of the season and has been very, very impressive. Georgia Southern 7-1 this year in games which Raymond Gross has played at quarterback. Lone setback is the freshman fullback, Joe Ross, part of that baby boomer backfield of Georgia Southern. Ross weaves his way up to about the 19-yard line.
It looked like he was almost tiptoeing.
Well, the field is very slick down there, and it's going to be very interesting as the day wears on, because as it gets colder and moisture works its way to the surface of this AstroTurf, as moisture will do on AstroTurf, this field can get very, very slick by the 4th quarter. It's 3rd down, 3 yards to go for the Eagles of Georgia Southern. Sidelines to the left, open field to the right. Raymond Gross, your quarterback. In motion is Frank Johnson. The pitch goes to Johnson to the weak side, and he is going to be dropped for a loss. And the man making the hit, Zeno Williams, for the Appalachian State Mountaineers. So that brings up a 4th down situation. Loss of about 1, making it 4th and 4. Terry Harbin in the punt for Georgia Southern. He's standing back at his 3-yard line. And you know that Appalachian State, this is what they call the block team, the punt blocking team. 10 men on the line of scrimmage, and here they come. Harbin gets it off. Driving kick. It's fielded back there, and taking it on the return for the Appalachian State Mountaineers is Joe Briggs. And Briggs is stopped at the 47-yard line. 36-yard kick and a 2-yard return. We'll be right back with more of today's ball game after this brief timeout. "11 minutes and 10 seconds remain in the first quarter of play. No score in this football game between Georgia Southern and Appalachian State. Quarterfinal action in the NCAA 1AA playoffs. Appalachian State with a football in good field position at their own 48-yard line. Bobby Fuller, the freshman from Columbia High School in Miami, the quarterback. I formation backfield. Doug Beatty is fullback. Richie Malcor his tailback. Fuller, handoff, going to Malcor. He gets across midfield down to about the 49-yard line. Make that a pickup of 3 yards for Richie Malcor. Craig Walker making the stop for the Eagles of Georgia Southern. Brings up a 2nd and 7 situation for Appalachian State. First time they have ventured into the territory of Georgia Southern. Lone setback now for Appalachian State. Now coming back to join them is Beatty, the fullback. Richie Malcor, the tailback. Standing about 10 yards deep in his backfield. Pitch to Malcor. Malcor finds a little bit of running room and gets to the 45, maybe pushed it a little bit across the 45-yard line. James Wildman Carter making the stop. Number 99 for Georgia Southern. And that nickname, Wild Man, apparently is very appropriate. Even his mom calls him Wild Man. Marshall leading Weber State 14-0 in another quarterfinal game. The winner of this ball game will play the winner of that Marshall-Weber State game. 10 minutes exactly remaining in the first quarter of play. No score. Third down, 3 for Appalachian State. Ball at the 45-yard line of Georgia Southern. Bobby Fuller back to pass. He's got the time. Now he's going to scramble, and that hole that was open closed pretty quickly, but he got up to the 41-yard line, and that will be enough for the first down. That'll be the second first down of the afternoon for Appalachian State.
See that opening up. Taz Dixon had to come over very quickly, Rich, make the stop here. He was the first, the initial guy to get there.
First third down conversion, too, Bill, of the day for Appalachian State, 1 out of 2. 9.5 minutes in the first quarter, no score. Sidelines to the right, open field to the left. And as you go to that wide side left, the footing is very treacherous here at Conrad Stadium in Boone, North Carolina. Appalachian State with the ball, reverse pivot, and a handoff straight ahead to Richie Malcor. And Malcor to about the 36-yard line, picking up 5 yards. Stop made by Bart Hughes. Georgia Southern doing a lot of liberal substituting among the defensive unit out there. Coach Irk Russell, defensive genius for many years at the University of Georgia with Vince Dooley, keeping his defense moving out there. Split 6 defense.
He believes in substituting a lot of people, Rich. I think it helps.
Second and long 5 for Appalachian State. Ball at the 36-yard line of Georgia Southern. Cross buck action. Beatty, the fullback, has got the first down across the 30 and pulls his way down to the 25-yard line. Tackle made there by Terry Young. He made the first contact. Third first down of the afternoon for the Appalachian State Mountaineers. Ball at the 25-yard line of Georgia Southern. Clock moving, 8 minutes and 20 seconds to go in the first quarter. Appalachian State keeping the ball in the area of the field where at this point in time it's the least slick. There's pretty good footing right there. How long that will last this afternoon, we don't know. I formation. Pitch goes to Malcor. Malcor hit in the backfield, and he's going to lose a yard. James Wildman Carter making the initial contact, and it should be a loss of 2 back to the 27-yard line.
He spends so much time in the backfield, some people think he's one of their running backs at times, Rich.
Well, that was good. He penetrated across the line right there, and he made the contact, made a good tackle, good tackling for him there. James Wildman Carter. Ball about in the center of the playing field. 2nd and 12 for Appalachian State at the 27-yard line of Georgia Southern. Handoff to Beatty, the fullback. Big, strong fella gets across the 25 to about the 23. He'll pick up 4, and that will bring up a 3rd and 8 situation. Both teams here this afternoon, Bill, have excellent kickers. Tim Foley for Georgia Southern. Bjorn Nitmo, who is used to this kind of weather. He's a native of Lomma, Sweden.
They're used to this
for Appalachian State.
They're used to this 12 months a year over there, aren't they?
Yes, they are. And Bjorn Nitmo, by the way, has not missed a field goal from 40 yards in this year. So they're in his field goal range right now for 100% accuracy. Ball at the 23-yard line. 3rd down, 8 yards to go for the Appalachian State Mountaineers. Ball about the center of the playing field, but they're into that icy area right now. Lone setback is Richie Malcor. Bobby Fuller, the freshman, the quarterback, drops straight back to pass. A little bit pass right across the middle, and it's taken in. Taz Dixon making the stop right there, and the ball received by the big tight end of the Appalachian State Mountaineers, Steve Wilkes, but it will not be enough for the first down. Wilkes had to get down to the 15, only made it down to the 18. So here comes Bjorn Nitmo, who, as we mentioned, perfect from inside 40 yards. This will be a 35-yard attempt. He's a left-footed kicker, gets a very quick trajectory on the football. Well, there's a little contact right there, jumping across the line for Georgia Southern that time. Big number 67. Any little rambunctious right there was Charlie
They're going to
Waller.
penalize Georgia Southern, Rich.
And it looks like the penalty's going to be on Georgia Southern.
That'll bring will I give him a first down? It'd be pretty close.
Yeah, that will give them the first down because they only had 3 yards to go, and plays like that are the type of plays that a special team mistake right there has now kept a drive going for Appalachian State where they might have gotten 3 points. Well, they now have the opportunity to go in there and try to get 7 points out of this trip downfield. So it will be a first down for Appalachian State, their 4th of the football game.
Charlie Waller came across that line so quickly, I thought he was drawn offside, Rich, but that's not what they saw.
Well, he did the right thing. He came across with authority, and then he looked at the official to make it look like he was drawn offside.
Right.
Richie Malcor finds a little bit of running room, and now there's a hole, and he'll go in for the touchdown. Richie Malcor, the touchdown, looked like he was in trouble in the backfield. All of a sudden, the hole popped open. He made a quick stop, turned on the dime, and turned it right upfield to go for the touchdown. Richie Malcor, the touchdown, 5:47 to go in the first quarter of play, and Appalachian State has drawn first blood here, leading the Eagles of Georgia Southern 6-0. In to attempt the extra point now is Bjorn Nitmo, who just one play ago was in there to attempt a field goal. The snap, the placement is up, and it is good. So with 5 minutes and 47 seconds to go in the first quarter of play, the score, Appalachian State 7, Georgia Southern nothing. We'll be right back with the Appalachian State kickoff after this. Bjorn Nitmo kicking off for the Appalachian State Mountaineers, who have just gone ahead of the Georgia Southern Eagles 7-0. Back deep to receive the kickoff is Nay Young, standing at his own 5-yard line. Appalachian State drive, 52 yards in 9 plays. And again, a very crucial penalty came up there, which enabled Appalachian State to keep the drive alive. 5:47 to go in the first quarter of play. Winner of this game here today will advance to meet the winner of the Marshall-Weber State game. Marshall leading that game 14-0. Nitmo, Bjorn Nitmo, the native of Sweden, set the kickoff for the Mountaineers of Appalachian State. Nay Young back at his 5-yard line to receive. Nitmo driving kick, bounces at the 15 and gets by Young, and he will let it roll into the end zone, which is where it is whistled dead. Georgia Southern will be putting the ball in play from their own 20-yard line. And Bill, where they'll be putting the ball in play, which will be spotted at the center of the playing field, very icy, slick area.
That's as we mentioned earlier, that's just about the toughest part of the field down there, Rich. And Nay did a good thing there, just letting that roll on into the end zone and bringing it out to the 20. If he tried to pick that up and run, it could have been disastrous. They could have been back at the 5.
Raymond Gross, the quarterback. The fullback is Joe Ross. Wingbacks, Tony Belser and Frank Johnson. The run and shoot offense. Handoff goes to Ross across the 20 to the 22. Pickup of 2 yards will bring up a 2nd and 8 situation for Georgia Southern. Small crowd on hand here at Conrad Stadium in Boone, North Carolina. Chris Connor making the stop for Appalachian State. Cold, windy day. Wind chill factor today has taken the temperature down to 3 degrees.
Last week it was pouring rain here, Rich. Last week it was pouring rain here.
Yeah, they have not had good weather the past 2 weekends here up in Boone, North Carolina for Appalachian State games. Big stop right there again by Chris Connor.
Joe Ross just got clobbered as he got that football. It's like they are expecting that one right away.
And he was stopped right at the line of scrimmage. So the yardage situation for the first down will remain the same. 3rd and 8. I think a lot of the play selection, too, is going to be influenced by where the firm footing areas of this field are. Raymond throws back. There's that little inside shovel pass coming over to Ernest Thompson. And Thompson gets it up to the 35-yard line.
It was Frank Johnson, I believe,
Frank
got that,
Johnson. Rich. Correction on that. It was Frank Johnson with a carry on the shovel pass. First down of the afternoon for Georgia Southern.
Frank Johnson.
Ball at the 33-yard line. They mark it where the knee touches the ground.
Johnson, a nice move in there, Rich.
First down for the Eagles of Georgia Southern. Raymond Gross, young quarterback, just a freshman. Joe Ross is fullback. He's also a freshman, part of what they call the baby boomer backfield. There's Gross with that quarterback option, knocked out of bounds at the 41-yard line. Pickup of 8 yards there. Leonard Lee making the stop.
He had to run the high hurdles as soon as he got knocked out of bounds, too. He had to go over to leap the bench. They pushed him so hard, it was just impossible to slow down on this surface.
Well, I think what Georgia Southern maybe found out there, too, is that they can work the option even in that slick part of the field. Very, very important part of the Georgia Southern game, working the perimeters, as they call it. That's where their strength is, being able to get the ball outside and then turn it upfield. Second down and 2, the handoff to Ross, and he's going to be the workhorse in the backfield. First down for Georgia Southern, their second of the afternoon and the second on this drive. 3:54 to go in the first quarter. Appalachian State leads it 7-0.
Touchdown, Georgia Southern.
Without the option, you're right, Rich. They are in real trouble.
Well, they found on that preceding play, though, that they could at least turn the corner, even in an area of the field where the footing is slick. How long they'll be able to do that, I don't know, because this field, as the afternoon wears on, will get a lot more treacherous out there than it is right now, and it is not good, safe footing at all. First down for the Eagles. Handoff. There goes Ross again. I'll tell you, he doesn't go down easily. He is a workhorse. Gets across the 45, and they'll mark it at the 46.
With that height, he can fall a couple of yards.
I mean, you look at pictures just like that, and you can see that it even looks cold here in Boone, North Carolina. Let's go down on the field now to Delano Little.
And you can see there was a shot of Irk Russell quickly over there on the side.
Well, I guess we won't be going to Delano Little right now. Second down. 7 to go. There goes the ride this time, and Gross takes it back out of the belly of Ross, and he's not going to go anywhere. In fact, he may lose a little bit. No, it's going to be marked right about the line of scrimmage. Chris Connor again for the stop. Connor having a superb afternoon here for Appalachian State. That's the way this run and shoot offense works, though. You give it to the fullback first time, then you ride the fullback, and the quarterback has the option of either putting it in the fullback's stomach and keeping it there or taking it out and working the option. That time Gross took it out, found nowhere to run, though. Third down, 7 yards. Gross rolling out to his left. Ball in the air. It is complete. Ball completed to
Herman Barron.
Herman Barron, the senior, making the reception right there, and Barron's got the first down at the 39-yard line of Appalachian State. Third first down of the afternoon for the Eagles of Georgia Southern.
Here we go again as Raymond rolls out. He loves to throw this way and right between the defenders.
And, you know, that's tough for a quarterback, a right-handed quarterback rolling left and throwing against the grain, but he did it very well. Raymond Gross, exceedingly strong arm, especially for just an 18-year-old. Probably has to learn to take a little bit off of it every now and then, but I'll tell you, very, very impressive young man.
Yeah.
He's back to pass again, putting the ball up in the air, and that ball is picked off. Is it an interception? It is, and it looks like it was Zeno Williams with the interception. Zeno Williams intercepting that football at the 28-yard line of Appalachian State. So that will kill a Georgia Southern drive. 1:36 to go.
That was one he just shouldn't have thrown.
Well, that's inexperience, what you talk about, too. And I'll tell you, the young fella, his pluses far outweigh his minuses. But again, you're right. That's one he tried to thread it into a hole that wasn't there. But you do like to see aggressiveness in a young quarterback, though, too. And he'll learn. And he's doing a good job.
Yeah, he's got it.
Here's the handoff, and this time it is to Tim Sanders. And Sanders gets across the 35-yard line, and he'll be ridden out of bounds, or basically chased out of bounds at the 37. Let's go down to the sidelines now to Delano Little.
We're down on the field here, and the team doctors are working on Ernest Thompson, the slot back for Georgia Southern. It seems that he has an ankle injury, and it's doubtful whether or not he'll get back in the game. I'll keep you posted up to date on that. Back to you in the booth.
Appalachian State with a 2nd and 8 situation. Ball at their own 37-yard line. Bobby Fuller, the quarterback, I formation. Handoff goes to Beatty. Beatty finds a good bit of running on. That is not Beatty with a football. And carrying it this time in at the fullback situation is Kenny Dawson. Dawson just bulls his way across midfield, and he's down to the 42-yard line of Georgia Southern. Stop made by Taz Dixon. There he is, Kenny Dawson. Look at this run.
One of the quick openers you'll ever see there.
They just popped him into that lineup on us, too.
Taz Dixon and Terry Young finally got there to get him down. Bounced right off.
21 yards on that last carry by Terry Dawson. First down for Appalachian State. The pitch goes to Tim Sanders. Sanders slides a line along the line of scrimmage, and he'll get about 1 yard, but some real dogged determination there from David Hodge, bringing him down.
Hodge did a beautiful job on the lateral pursuit, no doubt about it, as you watch it again. Watch Hodge just move along the line, fighting off that block, just refusing to be taken out of the play.
Sanders realized at that time he wasn't going anywhere.
That's right.
Clock running, 30 seconds to go in the first quarter of play. Appalachian on top, 7-0. Sanders the lone setback. Bobby Fuller, your quarterback. 2nd and 11. Handoff straight ahead to Sanders. Gets to maybe the 39-yard line. Charlie Waller making the stop for the Eagles of Georgia Southern. And that should be the last play of the first quarter. And indeed it will be. At the end of the first quarter of play, it's Appalachian State 7, Georgia Southern nothing. We'll be back with the second quarter action right after this. Returning to Conrad Stadium in Boone, North Carolina, getting ready to start the second quarter of play. It's Appalachian State 7, Georgia Southern nothing. Appalachian State with the football in good field position at the 39-yard line of Georgia Southern. 3rd down and 8 for the Appalachian State Mountaineers. In the second quarter, Marshall leads Weber State now 20-0. Winner of this game will play the winner of that game, and at this point it looks like it will be Marshall. Back to pass. Fuller has the time, dumps it off, and almost intercepted right there by David Hodge. Ball was intended for Nate Young, but David Hodge getting a good hand on it. And that brings up a 4th down situation and a punting situation going into the lineup for the Mounties of Appalachian State. Tony Cox. He'll be standing back at his own 45-yard line. Tony Belzer deep to receive as the lone return man for Georgia Southern.
I think to avoid confusion, Rich, we ought to tell you that there is a Nay Young and a Nate Young on opposite teams today.
And that was Appalachian State's Nate
Young, right. There's a Nay Young, a defensive back for Georgia Southern, so it could be Nay Young defending Nate Young all afternoon.
Well, what Appalachian State did right there is they took too much time on purpose, wanting to get a little bit more yardage for their kicker, Tony Cox, in the hope that he might be able to angle it out of bounds and get a little bit better angle for his coffin corner kick, and Georgia Southern decided, well, we're going to take the 5 yards anyway.
Right.
Maybe that was one of those situations where it would have been better to turn it down. I don't know. But here is Tony Cox standing back at his 40-yard line. Tony Belzer to receive.
Now they want to check something else here. The officials have called timeout again for something.
Well, apparently they misstepped the penalty. They took it back 7 yards instead of 5.
Okay.
Although I still think Appalachian State wouldn't have minded the 7 in that situation.
No.
A little bit better angle here for Tony Cox. Tony Belzer standing in his own 11 to receive it.
Belzer would be wise to let this go no matter what.
Bad footing where Belzer is, too, down there. There it is. There's the high kick, and that Belzer is going to wave for the fair catch. Oh, see, there it is. Yeah. A real nice kick there by Tony Cox, and Cox is excited.
There's a 5-yard difference, too, right?
Appalachian State puts Georgia Southern way back in their own territory.
That's a 3.
Let's take a commercial break right now, and we'll be back after this brief timeout. As we return to action, Georgia Southern will be putting the ball in play at their own 4-yard line, thanks to a nice kick by Tony Cox on the punt. Let's go to Delano Little.
The Georgia Southern defense is fired up down here on the sidelines. The defensive line coach, Coach John Pate, has headbutted one of the players and his nose is cut, and it seems they're fired up the defense. Let's see if they can continue the good play. Back to you guys in the booth.
First and 10 for Georgia Southern, and boy, there's Raymond Gross calling his own number, quarterback sneak, and that caught Appalachian State way off guard. And depending upon where the ball is marked, he's either going to have the first down or be very, very close to it.
He did a nice job with that, Rich, as we watched the replay. And again, in that treacherous footing area, you notice he almost slipped there, but managed to keep it up until he was run out of bounds.
Well, it was a good call right there. Leonard Lee driving him out of bounds. It was an excellent call because it completely caught Appalachian State off guard. It was enough for the first down. For Georgia Southern. They'll be putting the ball in play at their own 14-yard line. 14:35 to go in the second quarter. 7-0 Appalachian State. Handoff to Gary Miller, and Miller finds another good hole. He's across the 25, and he makes it up to the, looks like about the 27-yard line. Gary Miller coming in. Gary Miller and Joe Ross, former high school teammates.
They shuffle him in and out pretty good to kind of give Ross a rest, but Miller is an extremely powerful runner. He's one of those guys you put in when you want to keep the football and you want to get a few yards, and he can do it.
Kind of one of those human bowling ball type runners.
Right.
Gross giving it again to Gary Miller, and he protects that football as Appalachian State went for the strip. Didn't get it, and Miller picks up about 4 or 5 yards for his efforts.
Gary Miller on the carry for the Eagles.
Ball up to the 31-yard line. 7-0 Appalachian State on top. Early in the second quarter right here. 13 minutes, 45 seconds to go in the first. Ball about in the center of the playing field. Gary Miller, the lone setback. Here's Gross. And here he goes with a pitch. And the pitch going right up there to Carl Miller with a pitch.
The coaches are getting extremely upset about a couple of hits out of bounds so far, Rich, and there was one of them there. I believe one of the Georgia Southern coaches was protesting.
Well, you see that a lot of times in games that really mean a lot. Both teams fired up right there.
Yeah.
And Carl Miller did, without question, take a late pop right there. Picked up about 3 yards for his effort, so that's going to make it 3rd and 3. Gross, the handoff goes to Gary Miller. Oh, yeah, he's got the first down. A little bit more to spare, too, huh? Across the 50-yard line down to the 45. Gary Miller.
Again, just that powerful running, protecting the football, and look how well he picks up his blockers.
Leonard Lee making the stop for Appalachian State. But look at Miller just move right through that line right there. And actually, you can say there that was a job done by the front line, the offensive front of the Georgia Southern Eagles. 21 yards on that pickup.
The poor guys who get no credit.
Again. Whoops, little fumble, loose football, and Appalachian State's got it. Appalachian State's got it. I think coming up with a fumble is Anthony Downs. Anthony Downs, one of the down linemen of the Appalachian State Mountaineers, big fella, coming up with that Raymond Gross fumble.
And that was a case of just riding it too long there, Rich. He just left it in there, and when he tried to pull it back out, his hands came loose.
Well, that's one thing about the run-and-shoot offense. It is a high-risk offense because the ball is changing hands. There's a lot of faking, a lot of deception, and it requires a lot of precision execution. Second turnover of the game for Georgia Southern. This time, Richie Malcourt finding a good hole, gets across midfield down to the 44-yard line of Georgia Southern.
Taz Dixon's the guy who finally got him.
Here's a look at it again. Good running there by Malcourt. Found the hole, and it wasn't a very big one, but he found it and got through with it and got it down to the 44-yard line.
Yeah. Taz,
Georgia Southern, a first down.
Taz, one of those guys, has to hang on for dear life. He got a big runner on there. Jeff Banks came over to help him out.
Split backfield. Bobby Fuller, the quarterback. Here's a cross puck action to Beatty, and Beatty is going to lose a couple that time.
The wild man.
James Wildman Carter. Nobody calls him Jimmy, do they?
No, they don't, as a matter of fact. Not that I know of, at least anybody who's lived through it.
It's either James or Wildman or maybe Mr. Wildman.
That's right.
11.5 minutes to go in the first half of play. Appalachian State leads Georgia Southern 7-0 here at Conrad Stadium in snowy Boone, North Carolina. Temperature at game time, 25 degrees. Wind chill factor, 3 degrees. Wow. Winter is here. There's Richie Malcor. Malcor across the 40, driven out of bounds at the 36-yard line. Taz Dixon again, and Taz Dixon has been a very busy fellow back there.
He is all over the field. He just has an uncanny knack of being around the football, Rich. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, but unfortunately, he's also the free safety, and
that's right.
Even though he's around the football, when your free safety's around it, you kind of like it to be a pass play, not a running play.
Because it's 10 yards later.
When your free safety's there, you know that some big yardage has been picked up. That was a pickup of about 12. Let's make it 3rd down and 3. Malcor, the handoff. And he gets across the 35, had to get to just about the 33-yard line for the first down. And this may necessitate a measurement, and indeed it will. Official timeout on the field.
Okay. Well, while we're getting ready for the measurement, let's go back, and we'll be back right back after this with the score 7-0 in favor of the Mountaineers.
Have a 4th and foot situation for Appalachian State, just shy, about a foot. Ball at the 30, just past the 34-yard line of Georgia Southern. Appalachian State is going to go for it. Richie Malcor so far for Appalachian State, 10 carries, 61 yards, and a touchdown. Here's the handoff. Malcor, he's got it in some room to spare as he gets to the 28-yard line. Pickup of 5 yards for Richie Malcor. Flint Matthews making the stop for the Eagles of Georgia Southern.
Southern basically, I think, was looking for that run right up the middle or maybe a quarterback sneak or something.
Gave it to the second man through. I think you have to credit the fullback there, Beatty, too, for creating a hole as he went through. Sidelines to the right, open field to the left. Split backfield. Beatty and Malcor. Malcor with a football. Stays on his feet and gets down to close to the 25-yard line. Probably didn't make it there. Pickup of about 3 yards. Appalachian State, not a fancy football team offensively. They'll just run it right at you. And defensively, they're not very fancy either. They just kind of come at you with big, strong, talented football players.
You look on it statistically, and they've won on the scoreboard all year long. They haven't won the battle of statistics, and I think coaches would make that trade any day.
2nd down and 7. Split backfield. Malcor and Beatty, the split backs. Bobby Fuller, the quarterback. Handoff again to Malcor on the trap. Malcor down to about the 22. Picks up 3 yards again. 9 minutes and 25 seconds remaining in the first quarter of play. Flint Matthews making the stop for the Eagles of Georgia Southern. Appalachian State leading this football game, 7-0. Third and 4. And Bobby Fuller calling a timeout. Didn't like what he saw in the Georgia Southern defense. 7-0 the score here. Appalachian State on top. We'll be back with more game action after this. 9 minutes and 5 seconds remain in the first half of play here in this football game between Appalachian State and Georgia Southern. Appalachian State on top, 7-0 in this NCAA 1AA quarterfinal playoff game. Appalachian State with a 3rd and 4 situation. Ball at their own 20 at the 23-yard line of Georgia Southern. I formation in the backfield. Ball about in the center of the playing field. Fuller pitches to Malcor. And he is stacked up and slides off of the tackles. Got the first down. Spins down to the 10-yard line. Good second effort by Richie Malcor. David Hodge eventually making the stop. Although Malcor was stopped basically at the line of scrimmage, maybe
Flint Matthews
1 yard
had him
deep in the backfield.
I think Flint Matthews had him at first as we watch it.
That's exactly who it is. Flint Matthews had him stacked up, but he got away.
I think Tyrone Hull had him too, and he got away from them.
Malcor having a superb afternoon today. 12 carries, 85 yards, and 1 touchdown. First and goal for Appalachian State. The cross buck to Beatty. Beatty down to the 5, inside the 5. Knifes down maybe to the 4-yard line. Clock is on the move, 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Remaining in the first half of play, Appalachian State on top, 7-0. Ball just across the 5-yard line. Sparky Woods, the Appalachian State coach, has done an excellent job with this program. Has won 19 games the past 2 years, 27 in the past 3.
Hadn't he been incredible?
Second and goal. Malcourt, touchdown, right through the middle. Rich Malcourt, second touchdown of the afternoon. 55 yards in 10 plays for the Appalachian State Mountaineers. And they go on top at this point, 13-0, with 7 minutes and 55 seconds to go in the first half of play here from Conrad Stadium in Boone, North Carolina. Bjorn Nitmo will be in to attempt the extra point for the Mountaineers. Holding will be Tony Cox, who also does the punting for Appalachian State. Snap, the kick is up, and it is Nitmo slipped.
No good.
It's no good as it pushes it off to the left. So the score will remain 13-0. Appalachian State 13, Georgia Southern nothing. We'll be back with the Appalachian State kickoff after this. Bjorn Nitmo kicking off for Appalachian State. Just did something rare for him, missing an extra point. You got a good chance to see on that extra point attempt just how treacherous the footing is on this field here at Conrad Stadium. 13-0. Appalachian State on top of Georgia Southern. Here's the kickoff from Nitmo deep into the end zone, and Nay Young won't even go after it. Well, he will. He'll help the official out there.
Yeah, pick it up out of the snow.
That's a courtesy move right there. And the ball will be put in play by Georgia Southern at their own 20-yard line. Richie Malcourt today, 2 touchdowns, 90 yards rushing on the afternoon. Malcourt's second touchdown, the one we just saw a couple of moments ago, a 5-yard run. A touchdown drive set up after a fumble recovery by Appalachian State. Georgia Southern down last week 28-10 to the Black Bears of Maine. Came back, rallied, won the game 31-28 in overtime. They are a second half football team. I know they'd like to get some points on the board here in the first half to make the second half a bit earlier. Raymond Gross, always dangerous with the football, turns it upfield, and he's brought down at the 28-yard line after a good pickup of 8 yards.
We're going to watch it again in just the great moves that he has. Chris Connor is going to finally come in, and Connor's been having just a superb afternoon.
Yeah, I think we've said that name a few times.
Yes, we have.
But there's Gross. You know, he had that nice part of the field where it was dry, and I think that's what we're going to see plays called influenced by field position and also where the dry spots are, because when he can turn it upfield, he is a very, very dangerous football player. Belly ride right there to Joe Ross. He'll take it right up the middle, and he'll get the first down.
I believe that's Gary Miller.
Gary Miller in at fullback.
Again, just the way that Miller runs, he protects the football, he gets the yardage when you need it.
7th first down on the afternoon for Georgia Southern. Gary Miller on the afternoon, 4 carries for 21 yards. There's the pitch over there to Carl Miller, and Carl Miller is going to be drilled out of bounds right at the 40-yard line.
Again, over that
is going to be a pickup of about 7 yards right there.
Yeah, Leonard Lee was the guy who finally comes over here, but watch Gross just wait till the very last second to pitch that out just before he's about to get hit, and that's the secret of the option.
And that's a sign really of a quarterback that's really much more mature than you would say of a freshman, because that's the trick of the option, as you mentioned, holding it to the last minute, and that is hard to do.
Hard to believe he was playing at Bradwell Institute in Hinesville last year.
2nd down and 3. Gary Miller gets the handoff, and he's going to be close to the first down. I think he's got it. Chester Glanton making the stop for Appalachian State. He's got the first down. 8th first down on the afternoon for Georgia Southern. Let's get out on the field now to Delano Little.
He was a starting rover back for Georgia Southern. At the beginning of the season, he's a senior, and he had a career-ending injury. Thomas, this must be a little hard for you to swallow Georgia Southern losing right now.
Yeah, it's tough to deal with right now on the sideline, but our offense is driving the ball right now, and that makes me happy.
There will be no interceptions interception there. No interception, despite the fact that Keith Collins did come down with the football. He was out of bounds, no interception. Tony Belzer did have the step on Keith Collins, but Raymond Gross just hung the football up a little bit. I don't know whether the wind got into that one or not, but it really started fluttering once it got airborne.
It very well could, Rich, but again, that is one of his weaknesses right now. That's just one of the things that he needs to work on and will come with maturity, is that he gets a little too much air under that ball. He has overthrown a lot of receivers in recent weeks, and he'll admit that to you immediately.
Even a play like that not succeeding, though, should, in a sense, loosen up the Appalachian State defense a little bit. They've got to know that it's there now. Handoff to Gary Miller, right up the middle. Miller across midfield, 45 down to the 42-yard line of Appalachian State, and the Eagles of Georgia Southern have just picked up their 9th first down of the afternoon. Stop made by Keith Collins. Look at that hole right there. Good running by Miller, but good work, too, by the offensive front of the Eagles of Georgia Southern.
Power of Miller, and he doesn't overrun his blockers. He knows exactly how to follow them. That's one of his strong points.
Isn't fancy, he just gets the job done.
That's it.
First down. Gross, the pitch. Uh-oh, mishandling in the backfield, and Carl Miller very wisely falls on it back in his own 48-yard line. Now, Miller did something smart right there. Did not try to pick it up on the bounce. He just fell on the football, and that will at least give Georgia Southern a chance. But here, as we'll see it, Bill, just a high pitch right there from Raymond Gross. Miller making a very smart move right there. Carl Miller, not Gary Miller. Carl Miller falling on the football.
The coaches tell him, I think, a million times in practice at least, Richard, you've got to go out there. Don't try to get fancy with that. Because you notice the sun come out and a big cheer from the crowd on it.
And that was a loss of 11 on the play. Second down, 21 to go. And the sun is out now. Doesn't it look nice down there?
It does.
Gross is going to keep the football, and he'll be chased out of bounds at the 46-yard line, just shy of it. That's also a smart move right there by Raymond Gross. Quarterbacks should not try to be picking fights with linebackers.
That's the truth.
Exactly 5 minutes remaining in the first half of play. Appalachian State 13, Georgia Southern nothing. Georgia Southern coming up with their 5th third down conversion of the afternoon. So far they have converted 3 of them. Here's Gross. 3rd and about 15. Rifles went over the middle. Nice grab right there. The catch made by Ross Worsham. But it is not going to be enough for the first down. Worsham, well, I don't know. It's going to be close. Worsham had good field position there and very alertly ran to very close to the first down position.
Yeah.
And remember, he had to run about a 15-yard pattern on that. They're going to have a measurement, I think. Have they called for a measurement? Yes, we will have timeout called by Georgia Southern. So it will not be enough for the first down, apparently. Georgia Southern going for the timeout to set up the play and go for the first down on 4th and short. We'll be right back after this. Georgia Southern faced with a very crucial 4th and less than a yard situation. Ball at the 32-yard line of Appalachian State. Georgia Southern down 13-0. They need to keep this drive alive. Power I right backfield this time. The quarterback is Raymond Gross. The handoff and a mix-up in the backfield to Carl Miller, and he's going to be dropped for a 3-yard loss. The Appalachian State Mountaineer defense, the calling card of this year's Mountie team, coming up with a big 4th down play right there, stopping the Eagles of Georgia Southern. Look at it right here. A little mixed up in the backfield, it looked like, Bill.
Definitely a big mistake. I don't think he expected Carl Miller to be there. He may have wanted Gary Miller or something.
Appalachian State taking over it on downs at their own 35-yard line. Bobby Fuller, the quarterback. Fuller, the handoff to Tim Sanders. He's got some nice running room across the 40 to the 43. Taz Dixon making the stop. And again, we mentioned Taz Dixon all over the field, but again, you don't like to see your free safety making stops like that downfield, because that means at least 7 or 8 yards has been picked up. That time a pickup of 7, making it 2nd and 3 for Appalachian State. Ball just shy of the 43-yard line. Sidelines to the right, open field to the left. Mounties in the slick portion of the field right now. Sanders trying to run to the weak side right, and he's going to get nowhere. In fact, may end up losing a yard or 2. Good defense there by Georgia Southern. Darrell Hendricks, linebacker, making the stop for the Eagles or the initial contact. 3 minutes, 49 seconds to go in the first half. Appalachian State 13, Georgia Southern nothing.
So far, Georgia Southern has made all the mistakes.
That was a loss of 1. 3rd and 4 now for Appalachian State. Ball at their own 42. Lone setback is Tim Sanders, junior out of Thomasville, North Carolina. Fuller just drilling it to his fullback, Doug Beatty. Beatty's got the first down as he gets it to the 47-yard line. Everett Sharp with a stop. Fuller just drills his pass too, Bill. Right there to his fullback. Just slipped him out of the backfield. And Beatty did the right thing. He went about 1.5 yards past where he had to go for the first down.
And wide open. Everett Sharp got there, but not in time.
First down for Appalachian State. There's Sanders again, loses the football, and it is going to be recovered very quickly by Tyrone Hull. And Georgia Southern comes up with the big turnover right there, and maybe this will be something which can spur on the Eagles. Let's watch this right here.
Looks like he's got a lot of running room here, and all of a sudden just gets clobbered by Nay Young right in the football.
Well, let's give credit there to Nay Young for a good hard tackle because Sanders had the football protected.
Yes, he did.
Carrying it like a bread man out there. I mean, that ball was well protected. Good hard hit by Nay Young, one of the finest athletes on the Georgia Southern football team. Ball at midfield. Raymond Gross, the quarterback. Gives it to Gary Miller, and Miller finds the going in the middle very tough.
Probably his shortest game.
Stacked up by Joe Spikes. Clock moving, 3 minutes and 5 seconds to go in the first half of play. Appalachian State 13, Georgia Southern nothing.
Now you see the clock moving inside 3 minutes.
Second down and 8 for the Eagles. Raymond Gross, the quarterback. The lone setback will be Gary Miller. In motion is Carl Miller to the strong side right. Rolling out is Gross. Gross is going across the grain right there, and he has got Frank Johnson for the reception.
Darren Chandler, I believe. Darren Chandler back in action. Had been injured a good part of this season, but Darren Chandler back in, making a good reception and enough for the first down for Georgia Southern. Ball at the 36-yard line of Appalachian State. Clock moving, 2 minutes and 19 seconds to go in the first half of play. Gary Miller, the setback, in motion is Carl Miller. The handoff to Gary Miller across the 30 to the 29, and that will be a pickup of about 6. Sean Gainey with a good block there to make that run possible by Gary Miller. Second down and 4 for the Eagles of Georgia Southern. Ball in a good position of the field right now with some firm footing. At least from this position, it does not look to be too icy right there. Raymond Gross, the count, the handoff to Miller. Miller breaks a couple of tackles across the 20-15 down and still fighting to about the 13-yard line. Let's see, they'll mark it at the 14, but it'll be another first down. Miller's going to get himself a touchdown before this year is over, and he certainly deserves one. Watch his power here.
Dennis Franklin, the center, with a nice block, making it possible. But look at that second effort right there, breaking one tackle, breaking another. And I'll tell you, he still hasn't stopped fighting. 15 yards on that carry, down to the 14-yard line. First down and 10. Handoff again. If it works once, let's see if it'll work again. Down to the 11. Pickup of 3 yards that time by Gary Miller. He's one of those running backs, too, that just enjoys carrying the football. Georgia Southern and Appalachian State now tied in the first down department. Each team has 11 first downs here in the first half. So for an afternoon where it's cold and the handling of the football is supposedly tough, we've seen some pretty good offense. 13-0, Appalachian State on top. 49 seconds to go in the first half. Gross, the pitch, and we'll go out of bounds. Let's see how it's ruled. I think they're going to say that Gross was down.
Yeah, they are.
They're going to rule an
they're
incomplete pass because it was forward, which he can do because he was behind the line of scrimmage. So they're going to rule an incomplete pass right there.
Watch it again, see what happens.
Yeah, that was for a definitely incomplete pass because he was behind the line of scrimmage. It can be ruled as a forward pass. Does not have to be an overhand throw. Just has to go forward. Third down for the Eagles of Georgia Southern. 3rd and 7. Ball at the 11-yard line of Appalachian State. Clock stopped. 43 seconds to go in the first half of play. Appalachian State leading at 13-0. Quarterfinal action in the NCAA 1AA playoffs. Gross rolling out to his left, stopping. Now he's in trouble. Now he moves a little bit, looking for a receiver. And he put the ball forward. That was a pass, too. Appalachian State trying to say that it was a fumble, but no, his hand was moving forward. And all it has to do is move forward ever so slightly, and it is an incomplete pass. Chris Conner applying the pressure. So let's watch this, and we'll see the replay there here, Bill, that when he does put it forward, his hand is moving forward. Oh, yes. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
He was moving forward. Chris Conner with a good pressure right there, and coming in is Tim Foley to attempt what will be a 28-yard field goal attempt. Foley should be virtually automatic from this area. Snapped off, the placement is fumbled, and Foley gets it off, but his timing was way off. The ball was fumbled
by Pat Parker.
Pat Parker could not get the handle on it, so Appalachian State is going to hold and take over on downs at the 20-yard line. Their own 20-yard line. So with 33 seconds to go, a tough situation right there for Georgia Southern. We'll be right back with the final 33 seconds of the first half after this. With 33 seconds remaining in the first half, let's go to Delano.
The State blocked so many punts is bothering him, or whether it's the field conditions. Back to you guys up in the booth.
Appalachian State at this point content to run out the clock in the first half as they dodged the bullet just a little while ago. They lead 13-0. Tim Foley's field goal attempt was, I guess you could say, maybe partially blocked. There was the snap from center was fumbled. Didn't really get it off the way he would like to, and it stopped the Georgia Southern drive. Appalachian State holds, and they're content to run out the clock here in the first half of play. 8 seconds remaining, clock on the move. First half, just about history. Appalachian State leading Georgia Southern by a 13-0 score. Checking over some interesting statistics here in the first half. As we mentioned, Georgia Southern and Appalachian State tied in the first half and the first down department, each with 11. But total offense, Georgia Southern 200 yards on the afternoon. Appalachian State 166 yards. In 6 of Appalachian State's wins this year, Bill, Appalachian State's offense has been outperformed by the losing team's offense.
That's
and
right.
Here's a perfect case in point right here. Georgia Southern outperforming Appalachian State in the total offense department, 200 yards to 106 yards, but that's the way it goes. Let's get out on the field right now to Delano Little.
Yeah, how do you feel about that?
Well, I'm really concerned. They've come back against everybody they've played. They'll be back. It'll be a close ball game before it's over. I'm really disappointed in the fact we let them out. We had the ball punted down on the 4-yard line, had a misalignment one time. They run the quarterback sneak and got out. We lined up on the ice one time, missed the extra point, and then we had to fumble. So those 3 things right there kept us from being in a better situation we are right now.
Do you think the field conditions is bothering both sides of the ball?
Well, I don't think it's ideal for either side of the ball, but the field seems to be pretty good considerably right now and everything. I don't know. Ain't nothing we can do about the field anyway. Let them play on it.
Thank you very much, Coach. Good luck to you in the second half. Back up to you guys in the booth.
Okay, thank you very much, Delano Little, and we'll be right back with more of our halftime report after this brief timeout.
Let's go right down to Delano Little. He's got Irk Russell on the sidelines. Delano.
I'd like to welcome to today's game Mr. Alfred White, the Associate Director of Communications for the National Police.
Okay, well, Delano didn't have Irk Russell on the sidelines.
Well, maybe we'll, hopefully a little bit later, because it'll be very interesting to see what Irk has to say and see what they'll come out doing in the second half. My personal point of view, they were down last week, and they proved Georgia Southern has been down before, and they've proven last week, for example, they can make up 18 points. Now, of course, they're not going up against a defense like Appalachian State's last week against Maine, but Appalachian State's strong defense. I think they're going to have to put the ball up.
They're going to
be very honest.
Right.
I think they're going to have to come up with a short passing game and loosen up the defense a little bit. And then, by loosening up the defense, that's going to make Raymond Gross very explosive. He's a superb football player. He's a big play football player. And right now, Appalachian State is centering on Raymond Gross and taking Raymond Gross basically out of this game. They've got to give him some freedom to operate.
I noticed we saw Gary Miller a lot more than we usually do during games in the first half, and I didn't know if maybe they might have taken Joe Ross out because of to protect
different
the football.
Type runners. I think this is a type of field that is very good for a Gary Miller. He has the short steps, the choppy steps, much more powerful runner, whereas Joe Ross has that stride, and he's more of a sprinter type runner. This is the type of field that fits Gary Miller very well, and he's responding. He's showing us that he can play good football in this type of weather.
How important was it? Well, I guess you could argue this all day, but missing that field goal down here when they could have gone in just down by 10 points.
Well, psychologically, it's bad because Georgia Southern is a football team that is, once they get inside the 20-yard line, the area they call the red zone, they score. They score over 80% of the time. Psychologically, I think it can hurt a little bit, but what they have to do at this point is get it behind them and say, okay, we've proven that we can move the football downfield, but what we have to do right now is get ourselves together. That's history. We didn't get the 3 points. We didn't get a touchdown. We now have to come back, and they're still in good shape because of that missed extra point on the part of Appalachian State where Nitmo slipped on the extra kick. Now, extra point kick. Now, I understand we do have Delano Little with Irk Russell. Let's go down to the field to Delano.
What's the status on him?
Ernest has sprained his right ankle. It's classified between a 1 and 2 grade sprain. We've taped him. We worked on him during the halftime, and will start in the first series this coming half.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr.
The rest of the game.
He's also said that Ronald Warnock is out for the rest of the game. So Georgia Southern has been in this situation before. We'll see if they can bounce back one more time.
There's Delano Little down on the field, and Irk Russell was not available for comment. I think Irk is really, it is tough a lot of times asking a coach to come on and talk to you right before a half starts and that type of thing, because it's a tough situation. He's got to get his football team back in this football game, and at this point they have to make something happen very quickly. Let's get down on the field. We're getting ready to go with the start of the second half of action here from Conrad Stadium in Boone, North Carolina. Kicking off will be Bjorn Nitmo. And deep to receive will be Nay Young. You can see Nay Young slipping back there at the 3-yard line, but he's got it to the 10, to the 15. He's across the 20, 25, and up to the 28-yard line. So a good return there by Nay Young of 28 yards, returning the Bjorn Nitmo kickoff. Joe Spikes making the stop for the Mountaineers of Appalachian State. Appalachian State leading this football game 13-0, just starting the third quarter of play.
And Nay gets a little bit of a hole there. I think under more ideal circumstances, he could have gotten a lot more yardage if he had been able to turn it up.
Well, let's see what we come out with now on the part of Georgia Southern. Raymond Gross, the quarterback, reverse pivot. He's going to keep it. He'll turn it upfield, get some running room, and whoa, did that hole close quickly. He got up to the 30, and all of a sudden, the hole that was there just disappeared. And because it disappeared, that's because Kenny Blacknell was there to make a bone-crushing stop. And Raymond Gross is down. And this could be a very, very serious move.
If Gross has to go out, Ken Burnett would be the man who would come in to run the offense at this point.
And Ken Burnett is the only other quarterback that is available right now, because Ernest Thompson, who has been running as the third quarterback the past few weeks, and that's basically because of the 52-player limit that the NCAA has limited for these playoffs. It could be very, very serious for Georgia Southern. I think Raymond Gross was just basically had the wind knocked out of him there. He took a good pop right there from Kenny Blacknell, and he's okay. He's walking off under his own power, so I think he just, as they say in football, got his bell rung right there.
Yeah, he
so
did.
Ken Burnett will be coming in at quarterback. Raymond Gross, though, did pick up 4 yards on the play. That'll make it 2nd and 6. Ball just across the 30-yard line.
Also, they mentioned that Ronald Warnock, the lineman, is out.
Ken Burnett in at quarterback, left-hander. Cross puck action, little mix-up right back there. Ernest checked that. That was Frank Johnson coming back on the scissor play. Anthony Downs making the tackle for Appalachian State. And as we'll see on the replay, little mix-up in the backfield right there, and that happens a lot when a quarterback who has not played a lot comes into a game, and especially he's coming in cold turkey. He had no idea 2 minutes ago that he would be in this football game.
Cold
It
turkey
showed
is
right
the
there.
word.
The execution just was not there. That was a loss of 5, 3rd down and 11 for the Eagles of Georgia Southern. Ball at the 26-yard line, their own 26. Just underway here in the third quarter. Burnett, the left-hander, back to pass, puts the ball in the air. He's got Belzer, but he's out of bounds.
Nice pass,
Belzer
nice
was
catch.
wide open, but the pass a little bit offline. He caught it, but he was out of bounds. So it brings up a punting situation for Georgia Southern.
As long as it's his cold, can we play Canadian rules? That would have been in bounds.
Yeah, with a wider field, it would have been a good play. Appalachian State leading this football game, 13-0.
Here's where they shine on special teams, Rich. They blocked 8 punts this season.
Anything inside the 50-yard line, and Appalachian State with this unit out there they call the black team will be coming roaring in, and there they go. Whoa!
Yeah, you can see
Harvin
why.
just gets it off, and a fair catch being called down there.
Yeah, they rushed 150
Taking the
guys.
fair catch for Appalachian State, Joe Briggs, 33-yard punt into the wind.
And we'll be back with the score 13-0, Mountaineers, after this.
Back to Conrad Stadium in Boone, North Carolina. Sideline update from Delano Little.
We're down here on the sidelines, and Dr. Swin has checked on Raymond Gross. They were checking him for a possible concussion, but they say he's all right, and we should see him back in the next series. Back to you guys in the booth.
That's the update on Raymond Gross. Appalachian State putting the ball in play for their own 41-yard line. Split backfield. Richie Melchor, he'll have the football. Trying to test the left side. He shirts the corner, and he'll be driven out of bounds at the 47-yard line. Terry Young, Nay Young's brother, coming over to make the stop for the Eagles of Georgia Southern. But not until Richie Melchor picked up 6 yards. Melchor on the afternoon, 15 carries for 95 yards. 13 minutes and 14 seconds remaining in the third quarter of play, just underway. Here in the second half, Appalachian State leads it 13-0. Bobby Fuller, the quarterback, hand off to Melchor. Melchor across midfield down to the 48-yard line. And if he makes it to the 48, he's got the first down. Darrell Hendricks making the stop.
Melchor is so good at picking up his blockers, where he just stands there and dances around waiting for something to happen. Is amazing, right?
And there is not a lot of running room there. There's going to be timeout for a measurement as Richie Melchor got the ball very close to first down territory. And the officials decided it is close enough to warrant a measurement.
Looked like he got it from here.
I think he does at this point, but whenever you say that, that's when the old measurement comes up and fools you.
He's got it by about the nose of the football.
Nose of a football. Great eyes, Bill. And yes, folks, we were guessing on this one. 12 minutes and 54 seconds remaining in the third quarter. First down for the Mountaineers of Appalachian State. 12th first down of the football game for the Mounties. Split backfield, Doug Beatty and Richie Melchor. Now they go into the I setup. Beatty going into the fullback slot. He's the up back. Bobby Fuller, the quarterback, freshman out of Miami, Florida. Hand off to Beatty. Beatty across the 45. David Hodge making the stop for the Eagles of Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern has never lost an NCAA 1AA playoff game. 9-0 coming into this game here today. At this point, they're in jeopardy of seeing that record snapped. Trailing Appalachian State 13-0. But Georgia Southern, a comeback team in the second half. 2nd and 5 for Appalachian State. Ball at the 44 of Georgia Southern. Melchor across the 40, 35, down to the 34-yard line. Melchor picking up 10 yards, and Robert Underwood making the stop and the tackle for Georgia Southern.
What made that play work, Richard? Watch the block on the outside. Pitch to Melchor. Look at the block there.
You still have to be impressed with the way Melchor can find that opening. He's very quick with that little stutter step. And what made that even more impressive was he did it on an icy portion of the field. Again, at this point, you're looking for runners who have those short, choppy steps because they can move better on slick conditions. Here's Melchor again, calling his number. He's down to cross the 30-yard line.
And again, just picking up that little bit of yardage there that's so important. Getting it down to about the 30-yard line.
Nothing exciting here, just good, solid football, good execution on the part of the Appalachian State offensive line, and very, very good ball carrying on the part of Richie Melchor, because the ball carrying conditions down there are not good today. Clock running. 11 minutes to go in the third quarter. Split backfield this time. Beatty and Melchior your runners. Fuller one more time, handing off to Melchior. Skirts the 30, spins to about the 27-yard line.
As Dixon.
You know, you keep mentioning that name, Taz Dixon. He is all over the football field, has a real good nose for the ball.
A sophomore from Dublin, and he has been just an outstanding addition to this defensive squad.
The impressive thing about this Georgia Southern roster, most of the players are from the state of Georgia. Irk Russell knows how to recruit his home state. And that's good for a smaller school, too, because you don't have the big recruiting budget. You have to recruit in your own backyard, and you have to recruit well if you're going to be successful, and Irk Russell is successful. Here's a 2nd and 4. Fuller in trouble, gets the ball away, batted down, and doing
Robert Underwood almost had that one.
Yeah, that's right. Robert Underwood. Nice play there by Underwood.
He came close, and Robert is good. He has made several key interceptions during his career, and he is a Statesboro native playing right there in front of the home crowd for about the last 10 years or so from high school on up.
Good pressure from James Wildman Carter. And we're going to see Bjorn Nitmo here attempting what will be a 45-yard field goal. And at this point where he's going to place the football, the left-footed kicker from Sweden, looks like the footing is pretty good there. He missed an extra point earlier because he slipped on the ice. Here's a snap, the placement. The kick is up, and the kick is good. Bjorn Nitmo keeps that record going. 32-yard scoring drive. 32-yard scoring drive in 8 plays, capped by a 45-yard Bjorn Nitmo field goal. That will make the score Appalachian State 16, Georgia Southern nothing. We'll be back with the Appalachian State kickoff after this. Appalachian State has just gone on top of Georgia Southern 16-0 on the strength of a 45-yard field goal from Bjorn Nitmo, and Nitmo will be kicking off now for the Mountaineers of Appalachian State, the top-seeded team in the NCAA 1AA football tournament. Here's Nitmo's kick, a driving kick, and Nay Young can't hold the handle. He wouldn't have returned it anyway. Ball will be put in play at the 20-yard line, and that's where Georgia Southern will be doing it. Let's see who comes out at quarterback, as Raymond Gross was shaken up on the preceding play, or on the preceding series, we should say.
Talking to Gross. It's going to be Gross coming in.
Raymond Gross, the freshman, coming back into the lineup for the Eagles of Georgia Southern. Last week in that comeback against Maine, the Georgia Southern comeback was triggered by 2 big plays, a Matthews interception and a Terry Young interception. They need a big play right now from somebody to get things turned around. Third quarter action, handoff going to Joe Ross. 10 minutes exactly remaining in the third quarter. 16-0 Appalachian State. Ross picking up 3 yards for his efforts. That'll make it 2nd down 7. Ball at the 23-yard line. Georgia Southern has not really been able to generate any type of sustained offense this afternoon, although the total figures at halftime, 200 yards total offense, was pretty good. Gross trying to run the option, and there's nowhere to go. Gross was just dogged right there. Nice stop there. Dennis Sanders.
Again, he was hit out of bounds, and no flag on the play there, Rich, and that's got the coaches almost an apoplexy over there on the other side.
Yeah, that's one thing you have to really watch out. It's a very tough call to make for the officials about what is a late hit, what is the movement, and that type of thing. But let's watch it on the replay here, and very, very borderline at this point.
I think he's just way out of bounds here. I didn't see any excuse for that.
Yeah, he was out of bounds at that point. And I think it was past the point of saying, well, it was the initial carry-on motion of the play, the carryover motion. 3rd down and 7. As Gross was stopped for no gain on the preceding play. He's rolling out to his right, looking to turn it upfield. He's in trouble now, trying to scramble. He will be thrown for a loss. Anthony Downs one more time. How many times have we called out that name? Anthony Downs for Appalachian State coming up with a big play. 6-yard loss there. And we'll bring up a 4th down situation. Terry Harvin in the punt, and Appalachian State, Let's see if they go for the block. 10 men on the line of scrimmage. The unit they call the black team. Good charge there. Oh, almost blocked again. Short punt and a fair catch there being called by Joe Briggs. And a flag on the play as Terry Harvin was decked. And that's the one thing that can happen to you when you are going for the block. If you miss the football and hit the kicker, it is a roughing the kicker penalty and the automatic first down. 27-yard punt, but we're coming back. Georgia Southern will get the football and new life on this drive. Trailing Appalachian State 16-0, 8 minutes and 47 seconds to play in the third quarter.
Georgia Southern crowd came over here and they really have shown great support for their team, Rich.
This is a very impressive crowd across the way from Georgia Southern. Good turnout. In fact, to be very honest, they have almost as many people here as Appalachian State does.
True.
Roughing the kicker. Automatic first down. Moves the football up to the 32-yard line. So the Georgia Southern drive remains alive. First big penalty of the afternoon called on Appalachian State. Appalachian State over the last 37 games has blocked 23 punts and 3 field goal attempts. Loose football. Gross comes back up with it. There he goes for a pitch to Carl Miller, and it's a loose football now. If Appalachian State did not get possession before it went out of bounds, it would remain Georgia Southern's football, and that will be the case. The App State crowd doesn't like it, but that's the way the rules go.
That's right.
The ball was not controlled by Appalachian State, so it is a fumble, though, for Georgia Southern. They're going to lose about 6 yards on the play, but the important thing from the Georgia Southern point of view, the Eagles will get to keep the football. They trail this game 16-0.
That was Carl Miller he tried to pitch to, and again, that's a freshman mistake, or Carl Miller's not played that much. He wasn't looking for the pitch, Rich.
Well, there were actually 2 fumbles on that play. One, the bobble on the belly ride with Joe Ross. Raymond Gross came back down with it, then he had the bad pitch and the fumble on that play. Here's Gross. He's going to roll to his left, stopping, putting the ball in the air, intended for Tony Belser, incomplete at the 42-yard line. Covering on the play for Appalachian State, Sam Sanders. Actually, 3 Sanders players on this Appalachian State roster, and none of them are related. Marshall leading Weber State in the third quarter, 37. Marshall 30, Weber State 7. And the winner of this football game will play the winner of that game, which at this point appears to be Marshall.
Appalachian State has already beaten Marshall this year, by the way.
Yes, they did, 17-10, 2 Southern Conference rivals. The first and second place teams in the Southern Conference, so if things continue the way they are right here, there'll be a replay of that game. Gross, the pitch. Oh, wow. Joe Roth just nailed by Quincy Bethay. Oh,
they were waiting on that one.
That was an ambush. Yeah. Quincy Bethay in ambush, and, well, that's one of those plays that linebackers just love, too. They live to make a hit like that. Watch this play. There's old Quincy. 8 minutes, 5 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Terry Harvin in the punt. Appalachian State one more time coming. Just gets it away, and Joe Briggs going for the fair catch. Just shy of his own 45-yard line. Harvin tried to do some theatrics down there and make it look like he was hit, but he wasn't, and a good punter will do that.
Sure. Yeah, get the Emmy Award, but they've got an injured player down there, too.
But to show you how effective that punt was, and there is an injured Appalachian State player on the field, to show you how effective that punt was, it was only a 26-yard punt. Tremendous pressure right there on the part of Appalachian State, and they take great pride in the play of their special teams. We've got an injured player on the field and a timeout with a score. Appalachian State 16, Georgia Southern nothing. Quincy Bethay was the injured Appalachian State player. He's up and he's okay, smiling on the Mountaineer sideline. 7 minutes and 57 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Appalachian State 16, Georgia Southern nothing. Bobby Ford, the quarterback. Split backs this time. Dawson and Tim Sanders in there for the Mountaineers. No, that's Melchor. Melchor, good running room across midfield and down to the 46. Brought down by David Hodge.
Should Appalachian State hold on, they would be the first team to shut out Georgia Southern since they restarted football.
Georgia Southern has not been shut out either in the first half since the Florida opener of last year. So the Georgia Southern offense having trouble getting on track today against a very, very strong Appalachian State Mountaineer defense. Defense, Appalachian State's calling card this year. They don't win pretty, but they do win. Kenny Dawson, the fullback, he'll get the handoff across the 45, 40, 35, still on his feet down to the 32-yard line. Kenny Dawson coming in, replacing Doug Beatty at fullback. Taz Dixon, one more time, making the stop deep into the secondary for the Georgia Southern Eagles.
Taz could letter on what he's done this afternoon.
He's also going to be very sore tomorrow, I think.
He is that.
He's had a lot of contact out there. Sideline to the left, open field to the right. Good footing position there for Appalachian State. Fuller handing off to Melchor. Melchor jumps across the 30, gets down to the 26-yard line one more time. Taz Dixon making the stop. Guy's going to be a walking commercial for Ben Gay after this game.
He clobbered him right as he went in the air trying to jar him loose from the football, but didn't work. Now you see Irk on the sidelines with his coaches and a concerned man at this point.
Yeah, he's got to be, because here is where his defense has got to come up with a big play. They have got to score to stop Appalachian State, because if App State scores here a touchdown, let's say, this game might be out of reach. Here's Kenny Dawson. Dawson across the 20, down to the 15. Taz Dixon making the stop for Georgia Southern. Dixon making the stops on the last three plays. We keep saying it and saying it. He's making those stops deep in the secondary. He's the free safety.
And here you see it once again, and just breaking tackles right and left.
First down for Appalachian State. 16 first downs on the afternoon.
And Sparky Woods got to be delighted with what he sees.
Appalachian State 223 yards rushing so far in this football game. And what that also does is eat up a lot of clock. Melchor.
Yes, it does.
Melchor testing the right side. He's down across the 10, and he's down to the 7-yard line. Bart Hughes making the stop for the Eagles of Georgia Southern. And as we mentioned, when all of this happens, the clock continues to run. Pickup of 8 yards. Now let's make it 9. Second down and a long one for the Mounties of Appalachian State. Ball at about the 7-yard line of Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern cannot afford at this point in the football game to give up a touchdown. They trail 16-0. Fuller trying to work a spot where he can get some footing. He'll be pivoting out of there when he takes the snap from center. There it is. Pitch, Melchor. And Melchor just had nowhere to go that time. That whole play was stacked up. Good defense there, and the initial contact made by Rod Eichler.
I think Flint Matthews grabbed him around the ankles there to stop that too, and Rod Eichler, our resident Yankee, was in there to get him.
Melchor on this afternoon, 24 carries, 138 yards, and I think that was the first time he has been stopped for no gain. One other play was -1 yards. He's had a big day. 24 carries already, 4 minutes and 26 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Appalachian State on top, 16-0, faced with a third down and long one situation. Melchor's got the first down. He wants the touchdown. He won't get that, but he does have the first down. Ken Butler making first contact for Georgia Southern. Melchor, a workhorse this afternoon. 16 first downs for the Mountaineers. I was a little bit quick last time in giving them their 16th.
The cold has really got to be bothering Southern. I've never seen anybody break tackles the way they've been able to do this afternoon, Rich.
Well, Appalachian State finding some running room. That front offensive line doing a very good job for the Mountaineers. First and goal from the 3. Hand off to Beatty, the big fullback. Probably gets about a yard for his efforts.
Southern needs one of those great goal line stands like they had against Western Kentucky and also James Madison earlier in the year. That really seems to get the offense fired up as much as anything. And here you see they're at least starting on it on the first down play.
Charlie Waller and Ken Butler on the team tackle. Beatty got about 2 yards. Ball resting at the 1-yard line. The offense and the defense both digging in there because that is ice right where they are. A sheet of ice. Get out the ice skates and play some hockey, eh? Yeah, you just saw it right there. Melchor tripping in the backfield. Gift Smith credited with a tackle.
Looks like we may as well have a face-off at this point.
They should drop the puck, have a face-off, and bring on Wayne Gretzky. Third down and goal to go for the Appalachian State Mountaineers. Melchior lost 3 yards on that play, 2 yards. Clock moving, 2 minutes, 38 seconds, third quarter. 16-0 Appalachian State. Third down, goal to go. Ball just shy of the 3-yard line. Bobby Fuller rolling to his right, wanting to throw the ball, lofting it in the end zone. Incomplete. Ball was intended for the tight end, Reggie Sproul. Came in on that dual tight end formation. Tyrone Hull, good pressure on quarterback Bobby Fuller. So Bjorn Nitmo will be coming into the lineup and attempting a field goal for...
Hull really made the play there, Richard.
Yeah, he did. A good pressure right there. Sproul, as the pass was hurried, and Sproul just couldn't bring it in. Bjorn Nitmo will be in to attempt a 21-yard field goal. Virtually straight on. Snap, kick, up, and it is good. Appalachian State goes on top of Georgia Southern, 19-0. 52-yard scoring drive in 12 plays. Back with the Appalachian State kickoff after this. Appalachian State has just gone on top of the Eagles of Georgia Southern by a score of 19-0. Bjorn Nitmo, the man who just kicked a 21-yard field goal for the Mountaineers, will be kicking off.
The only team that's kept Georgia Southern out of the end zone has been James Madison since restarting, and nobody shut him out since restarting football. The last time they played Appalachian State 48 years ago, Rich, they lost 59-0.
Yeah, that was back in 1939. Nay Young will field that short punt at about the 11-yard line, 15-20. Has a little bit of running room out to the 25-yard line, and a very, very nice stop made there by Sam Sanders. Georgia Southern has no first downs here in the second half. No first downs in the second half. Offense has had a lot of trouble getting started. The only real first down that Georgia Southern did get, let's put it this way, they did not get one offensively. They got one on a roughing the kicker.
Right, roughing kicker penalty, right.
But the offense has generated no first downs here in the second half, and that's kind of surprising when you see this high-powered offense of the Eagles. Raymond Gross, the quarterback. He'll have sidelines to the left, open field to the right. Setback, Joe Ross. Gross rolling out, and he's under heavy pressure, real heavy pressure, looking for a receiver. He's going to tuck it in and run out of bounds very wisely. Picked up about a yard as he skirted out of bounds. Herman Barron in one of the slot back positions for the Eagles. 19-0. Appalachian State leading Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern's offense having a lot of trouble here in the second half. Second down, 9 yards to go. Ball just across the 21-yard line. Gross the quick snap. Hand off to Joe Ross, and Ross to about the 33-yard line. Let's get down on the sidelines now to Delano Little.
I just found out from a reliable source that the Georgia Southern pep bus that came up yesterday broke down, and most of the people riding the bus had to hitchhike to get here to the game. That's dedication. Back to you guys, Rich and Bill.
Thanks, Delano.
Third down and 3 for Georgia Southern. Ball at the 33-yard line. They've got to get it just across the 35. Gross turns it upfield. He does have the first down. A change in the interior, too, of the Georgia Southern offensive front. Sammy Twiggs is in the lineup now, replacing Ronald Warnock.
Warnock's a fascinating story as we watch the replay again and watch Ross just get some determined yardage here. Gross, that is. But Warnock lost about 70% of his skin on a motorcycle accident back around March or so, Rich, and came back from that. They didn't expect him to play this year.
Well, that's called determination. In fact, at the time, it was touch and go as to whether he would live there for a couple of days. But here he is out playing football, and a real inspiration to this Georgia Southern team. There's a pitch back over to Frank Johnson. Johnson up across the 45, and he slides out to the 47-yard line, but they'll move the football back to the 46. Ball has to go to the 48 for the first down, pickup of 8 yards. Eric Menifee, the stop for the Mountaineers.
That worked actually better than I think it was supposed to, Rich. If you watch the replay again, I think he was expecting a fake to go right up the middle. The fullback went to the other side, and the pitch went to Johnson, who had the running room outside.
Eric Russell pawing the sidelines there, concerned.
Injured player for Appalachian State. They're taken off the field very quickly. That's Joe Spikes.
And that is either an ankle or a knee, the way he is being carried off.
Carried off is the word.
Second down and 2 for Georgia Southern. Ball at the 46. Have to get to the 48 for the first down. 27 seconds remaining in the third quarter. So if Georgia Southern's going to come back and keep their string of 9 games unbeaten in NCAA 1AA postseason play alive and stretch it to 10, they're going to have to get moving real quickly here in this football game. Gross turns it upfield himself across midfield's got the first down, dives down to the 45-yard line of Appalachian State. Good block by Dennis Franklin making that play possible.
Again, some nice moves from Gross, but also that turf. You would think that in Statesboro he might have gotten 25 or 30 yards out of that.
That will do it for the third quarter of play here from Conrad Stadium in Boone, North Carolina. Appalachian State 19, Georgia Southern nothing. Georgia Southern just ran off a quick play as we were in the commercial break right there. Raymond Gross keeping it for a gain of 1 yard down to the, just across the 44-yard line of Appalachian State, 2nd and 9. Just underway here in the fourth quarter of play. Appalachian State leads it 19-0. Lone setback is Gary Miller.
Gross changing the play.
Gross barking out an audible at this point. Fakes the handoff, reverse pivot, turns it upfield, pitches it over to, over there to Carl Miller, and Carl Miller dives across the 40, out of bounds at the 39-yard line. Keith Isom making the stop for the Mountaineers of Appalachian State. Appalachian State, the top-seeded team in this NCAA 1AA tournament. Appalachian State coming into the game 10-2. Both games were lost against 1A opponents. First loss, season opening loss, 24-3 to the powerful South Carolina Gamecocks. South Carolina, of course, going to the Gator Bowl. The other loss was a 16-12 loss to Wake Forest. Wake Forest finished the season 7-4. And Appalachian State lost that game on a block punt that was returned for a touchdown. Grove turns it upfield to the 35, and he's close to a first down. Anthony Waters making the stop. And let's see, first down for Georgia Southern, their third first down on this series. So, Bill, when we started this drive and we said Georgia Southern had not made any first downs here in the second half offensively, they've come right back and generated 3 right here. But the important thing now for Georgia Southern is to maintain this flow and get the ball in the end zone, because they have some making up to do rather quickly. And at this point, I think when Appalachian State gets the ball back, they're going to keep it on the ground and grind out the clock.
I don't think there's any doubt about it.
Or they would like to grind out the clock. Gross, back to pass, under some pressure. Oh, hit hard there and coming across, and just a sign of strength right there. Anthony Waters just got a hand on Gross, but as he was going by, it was like a chop. And combining Gross
like
trying to spin out of it, and that force knocked them down for a big loss. And it's plays like that which has really hurt Georgia Southern this afternoon. When they do get a drive going, they come up and they have a play which really is thrown for a big loss right here. 12 yards, making it 2nd and 22. Ball back at the 46-yard line of Appalachian State. 2nd down, 22 yards to go.
And there's some question about something. Coach Sparky Woods comes out on the field talking with the officials.
Sparky Woods has done a superb job in his 4 seasons here at Appalachian State.
Been remarkable.
He has, he took over for Mac Brown, who left to go to Tulane. 4-7 in his first year. Then they went 8-3, 9-2-1, and 10-2 so far this year. Gross downfield. Oh my goodness. Gee. Oh. What a hit right there. What a hit Herman Barron took. Leonard Lee making the contact. Oh.
Because Barron had the football on the first down, no doubt about it. He doesn't drop many passes.
And if that did not inspire this Appalachian State crowd, if they didn't like what they saw, they're going to like this. Watch this hit on the replay. My goodness. Leonard Lee.
And he's still alive, folks.
This crowd is cold, but they are now inspired and cold. 12 minutes, 51 seconds to be played in this football game. Appalachian State on top, 19-0. Very important 3rd and 22 call right here for the Eagles of Georgia Southern. Raymond Gross rolls out to his left, stops, he's under some pressure, rolling out now to his right, looking downfield, and he just slips, and that'll kill the play right there. Can't get up like you can in the pros. He hit the ice, tried to stop, and went right down at his own 45-yard line, loss of 9. That's going to bring up a 4th and 31 situation and bring Terry Harvin into the game. Now watch the replay here. He's scrambling around, makes a good move right there, looking downfield, and watch what happens, Bill, as he puts on the brakes. Just goes right down.
Get ready to plant it.
Footing, as we've pointed out all afternoon, is treacherous, and it will get worse now that it's starting to get cold again, and the moisture has worked its way back up to the surface. Harvin with a nice punt that time. Fair catch called by Joe Briggs. Briggs takes the fair catch at his own 24-yard line. 19-0, Appalachian State on top. Back after this. Appalachian State takes over the football at their own 24-yard line with 12 minutes and 5 seconds remaining in the football game. The scoreboard looks good in the favor of Appalachian State, leading this game 19-0 over Georgia Southern. And Appalachian State, not a team not known for passing. At this point, Bill, they're going to want to keep the ball on the ground and eat up as much clock as possible.
And they've got the horses to do it.
Well, they've shown it so far here in the second half, even though Georgia Southern outperformed them offensively in the first half. Appalachian State went into the locker room leading 13-0, and here at this point in the second half, though, the Appalachian State offense has come to life. They've only put 2 field goals on the board, but they've eaten up a lot of time and ground out a lot of yards on the ground, and at this point, that's what Sparky Woods wants to do: control the football, control the clock.
Sure that's not the Pittsburgh Steelers out there? Sure looks
well,
like.
it's their style of play. That's Tim Sanders, and Sanders gets up to the 28, picking up 4, bringing up a 2nd and 6 situation. Robert Underwood making the tackle for the Eagles of Georgia Southern. And again, what a play like that does is it keeps the clock moving. 11 minutes, 43 seconds to go in the football game. Marshall leading Weber State 47-7 in the 3rd quarter. And if things stand the way they are going all the way around, it'll be an Appalachian State-Marshall replay of an earlier season game won by Appalachian State next week in the semifinals. Tim Sanders across the 35-yard line to the 36 has the first down. For Appalachian State, first down number 17 on the afternoon.
First down, stopped by number 87, Tyrone Hall.
19-0, Appalachian State on top for Tim Sanders. 8 carries, 34 yards on the afternoon. Appalachian State does have a good 1-2 punch at tailback. Richie Melchor and Tim Sanders. I formation. Bobby Fuller has gone all the way at quarterback. Freshman from Miami pitches it to Sanders. And Sanders gets to about the 38-yard line, pickup of 2. James Wildman Carter with the stop. Wildman hasn't been heard from too much here in the second half. Appalachian State doesn't do anything very fancy, but they get the job done, just trying to grind out the clock at this point. Maintaining ball control.
The clock is their best friend right now.
At this point, it is an ally. Second down, 9. Little mix-up in the backfield on the handoff going over to Sanders. Wildman Carter must have hurt us. Came over and was in on another tackle. 10 minutes to go in this football game.
Number 99, James Carter.
Good job by their freshman quarterback. This kid has a lot of promise, too.
You know, an interesting story about Bobby Fuller. He's from Columbus High School in Miami, the same high school that Mike Shula, son of Don Shula, went to. Bob Greasy has worked with this young fella quite a bit ever since he was a sophomore in high school. Bob Greasy owns a home right near here in Boone, and I think that was very influential in getting Bobby Fuller right up here to play for Sparky Woods in Appalachian State. That ball knocked down right there and making the bat down Charlie Waller. So it's going to bring up a 4th down situation, 4th and 9. Also stops the clock with 9 minutes and 37 seconds to go.
Well, looks like he paid attention in class to Mr. Greasy.
Tony Cox in to do the punting for Appalachian State. His first appearance, by the way, here in the second half. Cox standing back at his 23-yard line. Good snap from center. Just gets it away. Short, low kick. Fair catch being called by Tony Belzer. Belzer takes the fair catch at the 38-yard line. 19-0. Appalachian State on top of Georgia Southern. Back with Georgia Southern's offensive possession after this.
Your water.
That last punt by Appalachian State's Tony Cox was only for 26 yards. Gives Georgia Southern good field position at their own 38-yard line. And it goes without saying that Georgia Southern has got to get something rolling here very quickly. They've got to put it in the end zone. Field goals at this point will not help them. Eastern Kentucky leading Northeast Louisiana in the first quarter, 7-0. Another quarterfinal game in the 1AA playoffs. Gary Miller. And there it takes the fake, and keeping it is Raymond Gross, and Gross across the 50-yard line to the 48. I bought the Miller fake right there. Good job by the fullback, Keith Collins, the tackle for the Mountaineers.
Several others bought it, too, here, as you can see.
Well, that's when the fullback is doing a good job, and it also shows that the quarterback is doing a good ball handling job when you can get people to go for the fake man. And Gary Miller also took a pretty good lick right there as if he was carrying the football. And this time, nope, there it is again. Gross tucks it away. Gross has got the first down, and he slides down to about the 36-yard line of Appalachian State. Kenny Blacknell knocking him out of bounds.
And he took a hard hit as he went out of bounds.
Nice ball handling, nice reading. And notice this, how he just goes to that sideline, because if he can get out of bounds, he stops the clock. At this point, the clock is not an ally for Georgia Southern. 8:59 to play. It's almost like Georgia Southern has got to go into a 2-minute drill with 9 minutes remaining in the football game. They need 3 quick touchdowns. Field goals, no good at this point. Here is Gary Miller. Nice hole. 25, 20. Cuts to his left and gets down to the 17-yard line. And in on the stop, number 46 will be Kenny Blacknell. There's going to be a flag on the play. And depending upon where the flag was thrown, if it's in the line of scrimmage area, it's going to be going back. Clapping his hands for Appalachian State, Quincy Bethea. So I think that's an indication that it's going to be brought back. Dennis Franklin and Jay Marshall, 2 nice blocks right there. Let's see what the call is. This game has been virtually penalty-free, too.
Penalty thrown way away from the play. I don't know exactly.
We'll have to wait and see what it is. Illegal motion signaled by Samuel Jones, the referee. So that will cost Georgia Southern 5 yards from the line of scrimmage, but it costs them, when you really add up that play, that is about a 30-yard penalty.
Yep.
Negating a very good run by Gary Miller down to the 17-yard line. Brings the ball back to the 40-yard line, so figure that out what it is, a 24-yard penalty. When you really add it up. 5 yards from the line of scrimmage, but negated a very good run. Randy Gross, the quarterback, first down, 15 yards to go. Gross, the belly ride, gives it to Miller this time. He's across the 40. He's to about the 38, maybe the 37. But that will keep the clock moving. Appalachian State on top, 19-0. Dennis Sanders, and as we mentioned, there are 3 Sanders players on the Appalachian State roster, and they're not related. It's kind of like the Smith version for Appalachian State.
Yeah.
Setback is Gary Miller. In motion, Herman Barron. Raymond Gross, the standout freshman at quarterback. Rolls to his right, stops, puts the ball in air, and he's got to complete to Belzer. Belzer at the 29-yard line. And for Belzer, if I'm not mistaken, that's his first reception of the afternoon. He's caught a football in every game this year except one.
You can see he's wide open here, but again, they didn't give him any room to run.
It's going to bring up a 3rd and 3 situation.
But they up very quickly to stop that from going any further.
And we're going to have a timeout on the field as Raymond Gross goes over to the sideline to discuss the situation. We've got a timeout on the field, so we'll take a timeout with a score. Appalachian State 19, Georgia Southern nothing.
Tucker Business Machines of Savannah has high standards for a product even to be offered by Tucker.
An important 3rd and 3 situation for Georgia Southern as time wears down. 3rd and 3 from the 29-yard line, and Miller, Gary Miller, fights, and he's probably going to be stopped just shy of the first down. But I'll tell you, he was stopped at the line of scrimmage and squirmed his way for maybe 2.5 yards. Kenny Blacknall of Appalachian State making the first contact, and whoa, there. Let's give some credit to Miller right there. He did squirm his way to a first down. He was stopped right at the line of scrimmage, and that's determination.
He got a good spot on that, too, I think.
Maybe he slid on that ice. I don't know. But he did a great job right there. Good 2nd and 3rd effort by Gary Miller. He came to play today. Here's Gross. Belly ride. Runs to the weak side left. Dragged down from behind at the 22-yard line. Anthony Downs making the stop down to the sideline now to Delano Little.
Warming up, and the feeling seems to be that they're down but not out. If they can get a quick score here and get a good defensive stand and get the ball back again, there's still some time left. Let's see. Back to you, Rich and Bill.
Okay, Delano, but the one thing is, Georgia Southern has got to put that ball in the end zone, and they've got to do it very quickly. They've got a 2nd down and 5 from the 22-yard line. Back to pass. Throws, and the ball is smothered. Ball is smothered, and the man doing it, our buddy Downs again, Anthony Downs. So at least that'll stop the clock. 6 minutes, 44 seconds to go in this football game. Appalachian State 19, Georgia Southern nothing. Georgia Southern at this point being faced with its first shutout since football was resumed back in 1981. Very, very remarkable success story, though, for the Georgia Southern Eagles. 2 national championships in just 4 years of varsity competition. Gary Miller, what spirit that is right there by the young fella, squirms his way down to the 16-yard line, and he's close to another first down. Looks like he's got it. And he's got it.
Now you see Gary Miller just squirming his way through.
At halftime, Army leads Navy 3-0.
Ooh, another exciting game from Army and Navy. Can you stand it?
That ball game really has lost a lot of luster over the last few years. It's a shame. As a young fella growing up outside of Philadelphia, it was something we always look forward to every year. It was a very tough ticket to get over 100,000 people a game. Now it's not a very big attraction. There's our buddy Miller one more time, getting down close to the 10-yard line. Chris Connor in on the tackle for Appalachian State.
You keep hoping, knowing what a great heart that Gary Miller has, that he's going to break one of those for a touchdown. I don't think he's had a touchdown this season, and he really deserves one.
Ball at the 11-yard line, pick up a 5, 2nd down, and 5 yards to go for Georgia Southern. 5 minutes, 50 seconds left in the game. Gross rolling to the weak side left, trying to spin, squirming, and he just gets across the 10-yard line. 2-yard pickup. Dennis Sanders. Gross on the afternoon. 23 carries for 53 yards.
Third down at about 4.
Last week he had 173 yards against Maine, and he was really the reason that Georgia Southern's in this football game here this afternoon. Did spark a big second-half comeback. Georgia Southern made up an 18-point deficit, down 28-10, won the game 31-28 in overtime. Joe Ross. Anthony Downs getting a hand on him in the backfield, and Ross able to really kind of just power his way and take his momentum back to the line of scrimmage.
And again, he was sliding on that ice. In case anybody's wondering, they also play soccer on this field. You might see a light gold line down there, and that is those are the soccer markers. And somebody upset for Georgia Southern here.
Brad Bernard, the shaken-up player for Georgia Southern. He's up under his own power, and he'll be going off on his own. tell you, it's a tough job to play the front line offensively or defensively. Those guys go out there. They're some of the hardest working guys in practice and definitely some of the hardest working guys out there on the field. And a lot of the fans don't ever know they exist except if they get called for a holding penalty or roughing the passer or something like that. And it's a tough job. But I'll tell you, those fellas come out there every game and do a superb job.
This could be the ball game for Georgia Southern.
Very important. 4th down and 2 yards to go for Georgia Southern. Here it goes. Gary Miller. Yeah, he's got the first down. Gary Miller flies across the 5-yard line. Had to get to the 6, so he definitely has the first down with about 3 yards to spare.
Ernest Thompson's in the game.
Ernest Thompson has gone back into the game. That's interesting. He's hardly been hurt from this football game.
He's limping back off, too.
And he's limping back off. He's a fellow that Eric Russell says he's got such a great build, you kind of want to grease him up and put him out in front of a health spa as an advertisement.
They've stopped it. The ball got blown. The wind is blowing so hard down there right now. The ball got blown into the end zone just about. We'll take it. We'll take it.
These are not favorable weather conditions. At the start of the game, 13-mile-an-hour winds they have picked up since then. First and goal, handoff, Gary Miller. Oh, he spelled the goal line, but he didn't get it. Carl Miller. Check that. Carl Miller.
He got real close.
Right last name, wrong first name.
Carl Miller on the carry for the Eagles.
4:10 to go in the football game. He was close. Another injury. And let's see who the shake-it-up player is. Number 76. That is Dennis Franklin, the center.
Don't need that.
For the Eagles. And he is very gingerly moving on that left ankle.
Eric Russell told me the other day that Dennis Franklin is one of the finest centers he has ever worked with for this place, that he's the best he's ever worked with. And coming from Eric Russell, Rich, he's seen some fine centers.
And an All-America selection as he's hobbling off the field. 4 minutes, 4 seconds remaining in the game. Appalachian State 19. Georgia Southern nothing. Georgia Southern trying to do something about that goose egg on their side of the ledger. Ball is about the 1-yard line. 2nd and goal. Raymond Gross, the quarterback. Power I right formation. Carl Miller. Oh, he loses the football. Carl Miller has fumbled the football at the goal line, and Appalachian State has come up with it. Appalachian State has come up with a football. Leonard Lee with a recovery, killing a Georgia Southern drive.
Why did they give the ball to Carl Miller?
Carl Miller fumbling the football at the goal line. Leonard Lee coming up with it. 3 minutes and 55 seconds to go in this game. That was quite a drive put on there by Georgia Southern. 61 yards in 13 plays, but they come up with absolutely nothing. Carl Miller fumbles the football at the 1-yard line. Leonard Lee comes up with it. Appalachian State keeping that shutout alive at this point. 3:55 to go in the football game. Bobby Fuller, your quarterback. Handoff straight ahead.
Melt.
See, was that Kenny Dawson that had the handoff?
A couple of million people down there piled up. Melford?
Let's pick up the number. No, that was Doug Beatty. Doug Beatty is fullback. That's a pretty logical call right there. You give the ball to a sure-handed, strong ball carrier. Down there, just go straight ahead. Try to get yourself a little bit of yardage.
I still don't understand why Gary Miller didn't get the call on
that. If you can't get the first down, just, give your punter a little bit of room to work with. This game, at this point, is basically over. Kenny Dawson, I'm having a little trouble figuring out what direction he's going into. There's Melchor. Richie Melchor's got the first down. What an afternoon Richie Melchor has had. For Appalachian State, first down number 18 on the afternoon. Richie Melchor picked up a 8 on that play, 149 yards.